Michael, it's a turbulent world, Michael. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody knows there's stuff. There's all kinds of stuff happening. There's a bunch of like new things that happen in the world. But the one thing that you can rely on, probably, it almost didn't actually happen. It's the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select, and I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike. And we worked very hard to make this happen.
That's true. That's true. Michael worked for 10 hours today and then came over to my house to record for another like 3 hours after that. So everybody give Michael a hand. Yay! Woo! All right.
Things got weird, people.
Yep. I've actually been thinking if I can't have any contact with other people, at first I was just like, well, that's no problem. I don't have any contact with other people anyway. Like I fucking sit in my house 24 hours a day. But then I was like, oh no, my co-hosts. I can't endanger my co-hosts. So
they have to go places.
Yeah, there might be a week of Rage Select that's all about live streaming with a very sick Jeff. Depends on what happens. I read an article today that apparently you can't get a test in Texas unless you are literally in the hospital, like hooked up to a respirator.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, because they're like, well, I mean, fuck off. Like it was a story about some like 50-year-old woman who works in a hospital who was coughing, and they wouldn't let her take a test even though she's like working with people, and because I'm not going far off on the tangent, but the medical system in Texas is really messed up.
They're working on drive-through tests, from what I hear.
They should do it.
Not a joke.
You know what? They should do it at Sonic. That way, I can go get a chili cheese dog and find out if I'm like infecting everybody up, and the nurses on roller skates taking your blood. What could go wrong?
Exactly.
What could go wrong?
They'll put it in your hot dog.
You just hand them your credit card, and while your arm is out, they just jam you with a needle real fast, like take up a bunch of your blood and shove it into like a hot dog shaped testing container, and then like a Route 40 cherry limeade fills up with your sample, and then they check to see what it is. I mean,
and if it turns out it's not lime enough, then you have Corona.
That's right. That's what happens. Then you get a raspberry
it's too cherry
infused cure, and then they just. I wish all medicine happened through fast food places. I was like, if you have a stomach ache, you go to Arby's. If you have if you broke a bone, then you go to like Burger King, and they'll take care of you. Like each individual fast food restaurant cures like a different thing. You're like, oh man, I think I got pink eye. They're like, oh, KFC for you, Michael. You're like, oh man, I hate KFC. And they're like, well, that's where you go and you get pink eye.
Over there.
The common cold would just be like Starbucks, right? They just hand you like coffee and a bowl of soup.
Probably.
They'd be like, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck? Man up.
What would McDonald's be then?
What's a really common disease that everybody gets all the time?
That would make McDonald's make
stomach
sense,
aches,
I guess.
It's both the disease and the cure.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Maybe it's like a mental thing. Maybe depression. That's McDonald's thing is that you just go there and they're like, here are your McNuggets, and we put extra Prozac in them for you. Or no, the dipping sauces could all be a different.
Oh Jesus!
Like it'd be like, oh, how are your symptoms? And you'd be like, you could either get like Prozac or Valium or like something else. And then depending on what you do, you can just dip your pink slime into the medicine, shove it in your mouth.
They never give you enough sauce, though, is the issue.
They should let me design societies, because you know what? Everybody's at home, but we could all be going to Sonic and lining up, and Sonic would make $1 million, and I don't really think that's a good thing.
No.
But then I guess there'd be like really weird diseases. Then you'd have to go to like Carl's Jr. because they're the only place that did it. You'd just be like, oh God, no, I don't want to.
Where does Lubies fit into this?
What's that?
Where does Lubies fit into this?
Oh, Lubies, you don't want cancer. No, because you got to sit down. You know, right? Like you got to stay there for a while.
It's very expensive too.
It's so dark. I read a listicle yesterday about like the worst 35. It was one of those things at the bottom of a website that was like the worst fast food restaurants ranked from lowest to highest. Number one will surprise you. And I was like, it probably won't. They all suck. And it was McDonald's. Spoiler alert, it was McDonald's.
McDonald's, guys.
Because I kept going through and I was like, wow, Boston Market's number 30. How far down does this go? And it's like, wow, Wiener Schnitzel's number 25. And then I got to 1, it was McDonald's. And I was like, you piece of shit. You tricked me.
It surprised you.
It didn't surprise me. That's what the surprise was. The surprise was that I wasn't surprised.
Surprise.
Well, you know what, Michael? I have been sitting inside watching animes all week, and outside of reiterating that ReZero is really good, and I think people should watch it. There was a part that happened later on where, like, you know, if you got killed and like brought back to life a bunch of times, there were like 2 episodes where the main character was just catatonic. He was insane.
Yeah.
Because it's just like so many horrible world destroying things that happened, and he was just like, I can't do anything.
I don't want to do anything.
What the fuck to do. Like, I don't want to do anything. So like other characters just leading him around. He's just like staring off into the distance. And I was like, okay, I haven't seen that.
Can't blame him at all.
I mean, there was that one part in Groundhog Day where Bill Murray was killing himself.
Oh yeah, just went nuts. Just every other day found a new way to kill himself.
Yeah, but that was I don't know why he would think that after like 2 or 3, because there's like 5 things in that montage, and I'm like, after 2 or 3 times, you can probably get the picture, right? You can't.
Oh, him killing himself.
You can't get away here, buddy.
He was just curious. He wanted to see if a groundhog could drive.
That's true. That's true.
Did you hear they delayed the 2nd season of ReZero or whatever?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah. It's not that long. Everything's delayed. Everything's delayed. We're all just gonna have to fucking. You know what? It's a great time to catch up.
We're all just gonna have to go to Luby's.
No, it's a great time to catch up. Have you not watched? What haven't you watched? Now's the time. Or have you just been like sleeping on the CW superhero shows?
Oh, jeez.
And now you got to be at home for a week, and you could be like, I'm going to watch Green Arrow finally. Like, I'm finally going to watch Scrubs for the first time.
Oh, Scrubs is great, though. It's all on Hulu. Last I checked.
Yeah.
I saw the Lego 2 movie, finally.
Lego Movie 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
like a year late on that one.
I was bored, and it was on HBO, and I watched it. It's really good.
It is really good.
I really liked it.
I really like the there's truth in advertising about this song is going to get stuck inside your head song.
Yes.
And then I really like the reprise of Everything's Not Awesome.
It was a good version of it.
It was great.
It was a great little version of it where it's just like, hey guys, not everything is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But you can make it awesome.
Not all the time. So it reminded me so in song ways, I feel like Everything is Awesome was such a good song. It reminds me of like Still Alive and Want You Gone from Portal, where like at first they had a new version of a song for a thing I really liked, and I was like, no, I want the classic one. And then I kept listening to it, and I was like, no, this one's all right too. This one's fine. So you watched the Lego Movie 2?
I finally did, yes.
Give it a thumbs up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The 2 giant bricks up or whatever.
Okay.
They don't have thumbs.
Oh yeah, they got those little crabby, clampy hands. Anything else? You do anything else?
I finished Castlevania.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if I was on here since finishing the new season.
I don't think so.
But it's good. I really liked it.
Okay.
It gets very sexual at the very end, which caught me the fuck off guard. Because it's in the middle of a montage of Trevor fighting at the same time.
Okay.
So I was just like, sure, let's go with that.
I'll tell you what. Last night, I watched 3 episodes of Food Wars on Crunchyroll.
Oh, yes, Food Wars.
And I think I saw at one point a clip from Food Wars. I did not expect what I got out of Food Wars. And I can't decide whether it's disturbing or awesome, but I was laughing uncomfortably the entire time because this is an anime about this guy that cooks, but whenever anybody eats his food, it's like they're having some weird otherworldly orgasm and they turn naked. And it's very strange.
The best part is it happens to everyone. It's not just the women. There's old dudes that this is happening to pretty early on.
Yes.
And you're like, God damn, that must be really good for you.
And then in the first couple episodes, there's this like running thing where he also likes to experiment with food, the main character, and he makes really terrible food. And then he wants everybody to also eat his really terrible food. And he keeps trying to put stuff on octopus, and whenever he has a woman try to eat it, it's like an octopus is molesting her, and I'm just like, this show is fucking weird, man.
It's the kind of anime that you were warned about to not watch in front of anybody.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Yeah.
It's good. I like a lot because eventually he goes to like this culinary school thing.
Yeah, episode 2.
But, well, I'm like, it goes deeper, I guess, into that part. But it's fucking crazy and it's rad.
I think I'm gonna
don't watch it in front of your parents.
I think I'm going to keep watching it. But yeah, it's really strange and very sexual. I don't know.
Absolutely.
So
it was like
strange.
that Sangura cooking game you played.
Oh yeah, Senran Kagura, like the chef one, that was like Guitar Hero, but with food. Yeah,
it's very similar to how they react.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It actually kind of reminds me of God of Cookery a little bit with this whole just like when I eat a thing, then there's like because there's a part at the end where that judge eats the really simple meal that he's prepared. She's like rolling around on a big picture of the food and like banging her hands on it because it's so fucking good and shit. Like, except that instead of that, everybody's fucking nude and having orgasms because the food is so good.
It's pretty amazing.
So, but also the food looks really good.
Oh my god!
Like they're so good at
Anime
doing that.
is super good at that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'll watch more of that. I don't know. I got so many things.
I think it gives you the ingredients for some of it too. If you look it up, if there's somewhere, I think it's in the episode somewhere.
Okay,
something like that.
I was a little mad that Binging with Babish has only done one thing from that show,
really?
And I want him to do more things. But anyway, speaking of hardcore disappointment, let's get into it. I really wanted to be able to say that like this was going to be your escape from the constant news about the coronavirus and like. Yeah. And then I started by making a fast food joke. So we're gonna try to.
We talked about Lubies for Christ's sake.
That's right. I'd like to say everybody's fucking stay safe and do the stuff and like wash your hands and don't buy all the toilet paper. Is it a pooping disease? I don't think it's a pooping disease. Like, do you need 1 million rolls of toilet paper?
Just get tissues. It's
also,
fine.
Hey man, paper towels. That'll work in a pinch, all right? Like, it's all paper that's going to the same place. Ladies, I understand that you need something a little softer. Dudes, if you can take care of that shit with paper towels. I'm just saying right now. Don't buy every single roll of toilet paper.
Just use your shower. It's fine.
You know what's weird is I went to the store the other day, and the toilet paper aisle was just fucking wiped out, except for Scott, because it's the worst one. And so there was still like 3 or 4 cases of that shitty, super thin, scratchy Scott. And I was just like... I buy the generic version from this grocery store, and even I won't go that far. So I got like 3 rolls left. We'll deal with this later.
I did Scott once, and I was like, never again.
I bought a whole thing, like 24 rolls of it. It took me like 4 months to go through because it's so goddamn thin you could never finish it. I seriously considered just throwing away a half case of toilet paper because I was like, this shit sucks.
They're awful.
And I'm talking about like... This is worse than the toilet paper at like bars that I've been to. This is worse than paper towels in a lot of cases.
It's really bad, guys.
I don't understand. Anyway, speaking of worse than wiping your butt with paper towels, E3 ain't happening. It ain't happening. ESA has decided, as have most people, to shut that shit down. So
honestly, I feel like it's an excuse though on E3's part.
Yeah,
because they're like, we have like 0 people wanting to come to this thing in general lately. So let's just say it was the virus.
Yeah, because they had they did that I am 8-bit thing, and then Jeff Keighley dropped out, and then I am 8-bit dropped out, and it was like, and then Sony dropped out, and it was just like,
and this was before all of this even went down.
Yeah, like. Who the fuck's gonna be there? So,
Aisha Tyler for 24 hours, or longer than that. Actually,
don't come at me with that shit right now. I gotta keep my head up. I gotta keep my spirits high.
She's outside waiting now. She's like, why won't they let me in?
Hey man, you know what? If Aisha Tyler showed up at my house, I'm not going to tell her, you're not funny enough on the Ubisoft press conference. Get out of here, you world famous beautiful woman.
She starts dancing.
Get out of here. I don't want you in my house.
Look at the new Just Dance, Jeff. Get out of here. Last time, no.
Anyway, E3 is not happening. That's the takeaway from this. And my question is it going to come back next year? Or is everybody just going to be like, they're going to do their own thing and be like, oh, fuck, why weren't we doing this the whole time? Like, E3 has become more and more obsolete as online streaming. I think Nintendo really broke the seal.
Absolutely.
With the Nintendo Directs. And then, like there was remember that year that it was like 2 years ago, right? When Sony had that weird, like, we're in a church that we built in a parking lot.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to walk over to this other fucking thing.
And then they got a bunch of people playing different instruments.
Yeah.
And then everyone made fun of the guy for Ghost of Tsushima.
Yep.
Even though apparently he's like the master of that flute or some shit.
Yep.
A bunch of dumb shit was going on.
I don't know.
It was all like games we had already heard about too, which was the other thing.
What's that?
They were all the games we had heard about already at that point too.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing. That's the point. That's the thing. E3 was very much not everybody cares anymore.
Well, it's just
Devolver does their own thing as well, and they've done a great job at making me more interested in their stuff. The actual
that's like 2 actual games a year.
Yeah, and they're fucking great. They're so goddamn funny.
But yeah, I wonder. I mean, like don't get me wrong, I like E3. Like, it's kind of nice to have a big week full of announcements and stuff, and a lot of times because it's like a signpost, right? Instead of just like Nintendo had a direct, and guess what? There's a new Bayonetta 3's out today, and you're like, oh shit, when did that happen? I wasn't paying any attention because it's like just a weekday, right, and not E3. On the other hand, you know, I mean, I just can't imagine that other companies are just like, why don't we just do our own shit? We could rent out a place like in our town, and like put a bunch of people there, do a live stream, do some QA interviews. Fuck, man, I could put on half of an E3 if you gave me like $1,000 and like the phone numbers of all the game companies in Austin, and if they would pick up the phone when I called them, because I know they won't now. I could put on an E3 in this goddamn town. Like, you know, I could rent out the Marchesa and fill up the seats with people and put a big, project the demos.
Exactly.
To come out and be like, and it's out today. And people are like, what? You didn't say the name of anything. And I'm like, everything is out. I declare it.
Yeah, E3 and Comic-Con announcements aren't special anymore. They haven't been special in a very long time.
Yeah. It used to be that there was a limited pipeline for getting information to people. YouTube and Twitch have fucking busted that wide open.
Like, you waited for a magazine that maybe gave you what you wanted, like 3 months later.
Hell, I do this show every week. Sometimes there's too much. Sometimes there's too much. I can't keep up with all the fucking news. So
exactly.
And you know what? You know who knows that? Strangely, it's Warner Brothers. Because we actually got news after the cancellation of E3 that Warner Brothers was pretty close, if not completely in, to having their own conference at E3 this year, which is very strange because
that's fascinating.
They don't normally have enough things, but they've got that Harry Potter game. They've got something from Rocksteady that's been in development for a decade that we don't know if it's a Superman game or a new Batman game. And then there is I think there was something else. There was like a rumor about like an Arkham Origins 2 or something like that. It's not really
a rumor so much as like they keep throwing like hints at it, but they're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
Like there was the GCPD badge thing they released.
Oh, right.
The voice actor from Arkham Origins was like, well, I'm going to work on something, but I can't say what it is.
Right.
Somebody was like, is it Batman? He's like, I can't say, but like, it's kind of obvious.
Was there some like Court of Owls stuff in there too?
Yeah, there's like they're constantly throwing shit at us going, hey, new Batman game. Is like, you're going to show it to us? What new Batman game?
Right.
Like every time. It's like, fucking stop. Just tell us that you made a Batman game and we'll move on.
So, but then the upside is that apparently they were considering doing it, and now that E3 has been canceled, there's actually a lot of buzz going on of a bunch of companies that are thinking about doing basically their own live streams during the point of when E3 would have been.
Oh, okay.
To just do announcements. Basically have like a full digital E3 instead of a bunch of people have to go to the LA Convention Center.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea to just do that and stop having E3. Like, why have it there?
Hire Diedrich Bader to show up as Batman. It'll be fine.
Last year, was it during E3 where Steam, where with the PC Game Conference, they had like, I don't think it was E3, but it's something else, where they had like a series of time-limited demos that you could play on Steam. There were like 5 different games that had demos, and you could only play them for like 3 or 4 days during the conference on Steam, and then they literally deactivated them and took them away. I remember because we played some of them. Not you and I, but so
I just don't remember what it was for.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of merit to being like, do we really need to spend the resources to build the giant booths and have 1 million TVs and shit set up when we could just, show people the game and then maybe even release like a slightly polished, like the resources that it takes to get ready for E3 this year. If you just took those resources and created a literal vertical slice of your game that was playable that you could put on the, PSN and Switch and the Xbox and the PC, like, would that be cheaper? And if it is, why not just do that? Like,
you probably don't even have to do that. Just show off some stuff and people will be excited.
Yeah. I mean, Treehouse goes on for it's like 36 hours of Treehouse during E3.
Fuck.
I mean, just do that. Anyway, Microsoft also is preparing a digital event that they're going to do in lieu of E3 this year. Because that's the other thing is that, I mean, at this point, we're so close to it. I mean, quotey fingers close, but close enough. They have to have been preparing already. You might as well just do that shit.
They probably have a bunch of that video presentation they had that they spliced together, and they're like, well, what the fuck are we going to do with this? Like, we'll just put it online. That's the issue.
The indie demo reel has been finished for months now.
Yeah. They have so much shit they want to rub in people's faces. Look at us. Look how great we are now. You love us again.
It's actually going to be a little bit of a bummer for Microsoft because they were set to own it this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sony and Microsoft weren't there, or Sony and Nintendo weren't there, so it was kind of theirs. They could
do what they want.
Trot out the Series X, announce a bunch of new games, do the whole thing.
They could be the big guy of the conference, and now they can't.
Yeah, announce that the Series X is going to be all about TV. They're bringing back the DVR and a new Kinect, and they're making a Halo TV show, and that's what's going to sell consoles: the Halo TV show and the Kinect 2.
Televisions and phone apps. That's going to sell games.
Yeah, that is exactly what is going to sell games.
Sound bars.
So, speaking of weird things that are happening due to the current state, pandemic, disease in the United States, Discord has done a really interesting thing. So, I don't know if you know this, but Discord servers will allow you to stream video to up to 10 other people on Discord. I've actually thought about it for Rage Select because when I'm, if I have Discord open and I start playing Kerbal Space Program, it's like, do you want to just start casting this? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm not good enough yet. I still have more.
People don't need to see my failure.
But you can only do it to 10 people at once, and that's another limitation.
Oh, okay.
Even though most of the Discord streams that I've done, which I haven't done in a long time, have like 15 people wanting. I don't want people not to be able to watch. But Discord has actually raised that limit to 50 during this time where people are going to have to stay at home because a lot of people use Discord to communicate with other people at work or do video conferencing or things like that. So for a limited amount of time, they have basically raised the user limit of the number of people that can watch a stream at a time to 50. So that's good stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They basically just one of those good guy tech firm things where they're like, hey, man, we realize people probably need to talk to more than 10 people at one time. Have a blast. I don't know. By the end of this, are we all just going to never leave our houses?
Probably.
Because I'm already there.
We'll just order Lubies. It'll be fine.
I have been training for this for years, and I am already ready to sit at home and never leave again.
I don't know why I keep bringing up Lubies.
I think you need to get like
maybe I should go to Lubies.
Those square cod fillets, right? Or
yeah, exactly.
The big dude. What are you talking about? A buffet now?
It's not a buffet.
Oh hell no. Well, yeah, I guess
that's
not.
The thing about Lubies. It's a cafeteria, which is worse, to be honest.
I gotta get like 2 6-foot dowel rods coming out of the side of me to just keep the line away from me. Just be like fucking and don't even look at the desserts. All right, people have been breathing on that shit all day.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, so yeah, that's happening as well. And I swear this is the last. This is the last kind of fallout from the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
None of the rest of these stories, I don't think. I did all this yesterday, and then we didn't have time to do this yesterday, so I don't think any of these stories have anything to do with it. But Ubisoft is apparently also working on some kind of digital presentation to take the place of what they were going to do at E3 this year.
Okay.
Which makes sense considering, Ubisoft, they got to announce the Division 3. And
it's all about Just Dance. It has nothing to do with the Division.
Ghost Recon 4. John Barenthal is going to be back. Now he's a good guy in Ghost Recon 4.
And he's got a different dog.
He's got the Terminator. Him and the Terminator have teamed up.
A Terminator dog.
Yeah, Terminator dog, and they're going to do it. And Beyond Good and Evil 2, and not announced Splinter Cell for the 6th year in a row.
Or they're going to, and it's not going to have
Michael Ironside.
And then I'm going to just be sad.
Yeah.
Like they did last time.
Yeah. I kind of settle for anything at this point. I'd settle for Black Site 2 or whatever.
I don't even remember what it's called. No one does.
Where they changed Sam Fisher's voice and suddenly it was like 30 instead of 50.
But everything apparently still happened, which made even less sense.
Yeah.
It was weird, guys.
It was very strange. They should just reboot that shit. If they want to change the voice actor, at this point, I'm like, fine, just reboot it. Like,
yeah, just full on reboot it.
Just full on reboot it.
Like
Sam
that was
Fisher's,
the issue of that one.
By the time we got to the end of Conviction, like, right, Sam Fisher's daughter was dead, and he was like this broken man, and then suddenly in the next one he's like, well, I'm working for the NSA again. I'm like 65 years old, but
I'm not. It's like, what?
Sure.
It's like, what's happening? Timeline doesn't make okay, sure.
Yeah. But one thing that Ubisoft has not forgotten about is Prince of Persia, And we all know that's exciting because, Prince of Persia, we haven't had a new game Prince of Persia for a long time. We already know they're making that Prince of Persia VR escape room, and I'm sure that everybody was mad about that because they wanted like a third-person action game with the Prince of Persia, and Ubisoft has heard you loud and clear, and that is why For Honor is getting a Blades of Persia season where you could play the Prince of Persia in For Honor.
Yes, the Prince of Persia. I'm using quotey figures because that dude does not look like the Prince of Persia.
Michael really hates the character model for the Prince.
It looks really bad.
He looks like it looks like if the character model from Prince of Persia: Sands of Time and Jake Gyllenhaal had a baby together.
Absolutely.
If you merge the two of them together, then that's what this guy looks like.
If Jake Gyllenhaal for some reason had very close to dreads kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just bad. I'm sorry. It's just awful looking. I'm sorry. It's
guys,
real bad.
Michael does not like this. He is not a fan of this.
He does not look Persian, is all I'm saying.
So apparently
he looks like that dude that you meet at fucking Burning Man is what he looks like. That's my issue with
this. This is the protagonist of what was that horrible motorcycle game that everybody hates with the weird sex where everybody has their clothes
on. Ride to Die, I think?
Ride to Hell or something like that.
I don't remember. It's Ride to something.
But apparently this whole thing it's an event. They've altered one of the maps. It's very Prince of Persia themed. The creeps all look like the kind of sand demons, and then apparently the dagger is there, and if you grab it, then you get to play as the prince, and he's super overpowered, and blah 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 blah. I always honestly just wanted to put this in here to say everybody needs to remember, and I myself need to remember, and I love it because I have to keep remembering. For Honor is really still a thing.
No, absolutely.
You may not play For Honor, and you may have forgotten about For Honor, but there's enough people that this is the 6th season.
They've been at this for a while.
For Honor, the big expansion with the Wuxia Chinese stuff, I believe, and then there was there were a couple that happened since then.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, me and my friends we really wanted to get into it, and then we thought it was going to die.
Yeah.
Because it's just all of a sudden people were like, oh, we don't like this. But it just kept going.
Yep.
And it's got a very dedicated fan base.
I think that people forget, because, Division 2, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, a lot of these games that I don't really have any interest in, I think that people forget that it doesn't take 1 million users to keep a multiplayer game going. It takes 500 users that are willing to put money into it. Probably more than that. But
the users don't need that much sometimes too.
What's that?
And sometimes the users don't need all that much either, to be honest. And I'm not saying For Honor is lazy or something. I'm just saying that some games that we were like, oh, there's no way this is still going on.
It was actually
people were really into them. Minecraft's a great example of that.
I haven't really. I played For Honor a little bit, but I actually consider For Honor to be one of the more interesting games that Ubisoft has put out because it wasn't just a military shooter.
Absolutely.
So
that's what everybody liked about the concept of it.
I keep thinking that I'm going to play the Division 2 so we can feature that expansion, but it's been too long now, and I don't want to play the Division 2. I don't want to play it. It's boring.
Yes, it's been too long now, quote unquote.
It's been 2.5 weeks. Okay, shit moves quick around here. Next week or this week, today, as of recording this, we got My Hero Academia, we got Neo 2. Next week it's Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing are both coming out. And I'm not bumping Animal Crossing for fucking the Division 2. Of course, that is kind of a Sophie's choice because I'm not really a big fan of either.
Yeah, I don't think you care about that one. Yeah,
but I'm not pushing Neo or Doom.
I think that's the Kobayashi Maru more for you since you don't like them.
Yeah, Doom is really the one. You can't. Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Move, bitch. Get out the way. Doom is coming. Doom is coming.
God, I'm so happy that game's coming out.
Yeah. So, in other Ubisoft news, Ubisoft this week actually came out and said, hey, everybody, we're not taking our games off of GeForce Now.
Ooh, fun.
So they said that they're committed to having their games on GeForce Now, which, considering over the last few weeks we've had Bethesda and Blizzard both pull their games off.
2K was another one, right?
Yes. That's the next story. That's my transition out of here.
Oh, okay. That's my fault. My bad.
No. I don't let anybody look at the news before we start.
Two Lubies.
It's not my fault if you're like, what about this? I'm like, that comes 8 stories from now. So yeah, but
I didn't read it off of that. I just read it earlier.
This is good though, because I feel bad for GeForce Now. Like, I don't want to use it, but I think as a service, like, having all these companies pull out of GeForce Now, it's just like, why? Like, what do you want from GeForce Now?
It just felt mean.
I wonder if Stadia, I wonder if Google's back there like, hey, if you take your games off GeForce Now and put them on Stadia, we will pay you because we've just got the pockets to schlup money wherever.
No one likes us.
Yeah, everybody I saw a thing on Twitter that was like, it was in like the video game news of trending topics on Twitter, and it was like, hey gamers, guess what, the Westwood version of Monopoly is coming to Google Stadia. And I was like, what the fuck,
the what
announcement? Like, yeah, Westwood made a version of Monopoly and that's going to be on Stadia, so you can play like, a 30-year-old board game that sucks on a console, quote console, that's I don't
know why people would want any of that.
I don't really know either. In any case,
that's awful.
Ubisoft is going to stay with GeForce Now, and that's good because, I mean, the other thing about GeForce Now is, right, we all know that GeForce makes its money off of fucking video cards and not GeForce Now.
This doesn't hurt anybody.
So I just think that it's kind of petty to see other companies like 2K pull their shit, Especially when you look at what the 2K games are being pulled. BioShock, Borderlands, NBA titles, Civ, XCOM, and WWE 2K20.
Jesus.
Michael, now you can't play WWE 2K20 at all. They should just pull it from the entire game market. It's just like, if you've got it installed on your console, they just delete it. If you've got the disc version, it just like, they like put out that special X-Acto knife that I know everybody's got in their fucking disc tray and just fucking mark a big line around the disc.
Oh, Jesus.
God, how terrible would that be if a developer could trigger a physical destruction thing and built into your console?
I think Kojima was playing with the idea one time.
Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, no. He wanted that. He wanted to make a game where if you died in the game, it destroyed the disc. You had to go buy a new copy of it. It's like, you madman, you maniac.
He's got weird taste and shit.
Fucking crazy person. Speaking of crazy people, let's talk a little bit about Fallout 76.
God, let's not, please.
Wouldn't be a Rage Select podcast unless we talked about Fallout 76. Every week, it's the gift that keeps on hurting. There's not a lot to talk about this week. There were some interviews about Wastelanders. There's a 15-minute video that they had it there.
Is that still a thing?
What's that?
Wastelanders?
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out, I believe, the end of this month, early next month.
Jesus.
So the most interesting thing here was we had another interview with the lead designer who said some dumb things. You remember last week how we had that interview where they said some dumb things?
Yeah.
It's the same where I don't understand how the people at Ubisoft were like, yeah, this is going to be great because what people want out of Fallout is shooting each other and multiplayer. And it's like, wait, nobody
wanted any of that. No.
One of the quotes he said was, there was a lot that worked at launch. If you're a person who liked exploration, for example, from our traditional games, it was possibly one of the best worlds to explore that we've ever had. But there was a large portion of our audience that wanted people. They wanted an emotional connection. And if you know everyone is dead and you come across holotape from someone, it loses that hope that you might meet that person and help them out. It's like, yeah.
They wanted a game, is what you're saying.
How did you... The only thing I can think of is that... Because I was trying to figure out how the fuck this happened. And then I was thinking, okay, so maybe they're at Bethesda. They see that people have modded like Fallout 4 and Skyrim. Because there was like some mods that would let you bring like one other person in, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, so they want multiplayer. Rust is a big deal. People like building houses like Minecraft. That's a big deal. So we'll do this thing. Because Rust doesn't have...
It doesn't have anybody.
It doesn't have anybody.
Yeah.
It's just people. And they fucking fight each other. But Fallout's not the franchise for that. But then when you think about it, it's like, well, they could take all the assets that they had and then just kind of remix them, make a new map. It's not going to take a huge amount of time. Put a bunch of, bugs. They don't have to do any story writing, really.
Well, that's the thing. You said Fallout isn't the thing for that, but Todd Howard said it is the thing for that.
Yeah.
And then just started throwing ideas at somebody, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll make this work.
Yeah.
And then they made something that had nothing in it and hoped for the best.
So there was also Bethesda Game Days 2020. They had a preview of the Wastelanders content, of some of the Wastelanders content.
Oh, okay.
It appears that they're doing at least a pretty good job of, because it's all free too, right? Like if you bought the game, you get it for free.
I don't remember.
And I'm saying that 100% yes. Also, the game is now redonkulously cheap, right? So you can get it.
They're just giving it away
for nothing. But then at the beginning of Fallout 76, once you get out of the vault tutorial, like there's literally two people, because there's like a big kind of stairway that goes down into the wasteland. There's literally two people standing there having an argument. They're like, hey, you, come here for a minute, come here. And there's like a whole kind of a settlement versus raiders. In this gameplay thing. I mean, I'll be honest, it looks like a Fallout game, right? Like there's just a bunch of people talking to you. And there's like charisma checks and stuff that you can do and like intimidation checks and stuff. So all that has happened. And then, towards the very end, they show off some of the like fighting with caravans, like of NPCs to like get their Brahmin to a place. So apparently there's going to be like a big conflict between this one big city and then raiders. And you can kind of join either side. I think you can join the raiders if you want to.
Oh, okay.
I don't like the fact that they were just generically raiders, but in any case, you know what? Like I'm not like rooting for them. But if they decide to put a bunch of Fallout in the Fallout game where the biggest complaint was there isn't any Fallout in this Fallout game, then like, okay.
That's a sentence you said that actually happened.
The Outer Worlds was kind of a real-time Fallout game, and if they add in a bunch of single-player story and it's free and I don't have to pay for it, they may eventually build up enough content that it's worth actually playing this video game.
If they can pull off a No Man's Sky, I'd be all for it.
Yeah. I want them to do it and not to. I'd rather this game end up being good than just something that I can mock every week.
And they make it very easy, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, you can check out that video. I don't think there's anything that's like super surprising in there, but it looks like a Fallout game now.
It looks like a game. That's the actual thing you should say.
Yeah. Speaking of games, we got a trailer for Amnesia Rebirth. The sequel to, well, I guess it's Amnesia Dark Descent was the first one. And
I think so, yeah.
Machine for Pigs, which I think was made by a different company. If I'm not remembering correctly, the original developer went on to make Soma. That's Frictional Games. And so we got a trailer for Amnesia Rebirth, which is interesting because it's apparently going to be all set in like this kind of temple in the desert type of thing. Which is a little strange. Like I feel like the kind of like Victorian manor setting works a little bit better for your general cosmic horror type of thing. I don't know.
It seems to be, well, depending on what the plot is, it could work. It could be something, almost mummy-like if it's in the middle of like this deserty kind of area. Yeah,
I guess for me the interesting contrast with the kind of cosmic horror Cthulhu stuff has always been a recognizable element, like an actual city full of people.
Oh, okay.
And then like this crazy thing, whereas if you're just Lara Croft tomb raiding and there's some funky shit in there, it's like, well, there's always some funky shit when you're Lara Croft tomb raiding.
It seems like it takes, like, at least based on the plane that's there, maybe it's something 40s-ish. 30s-ish, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. The bulk of this trailer kind of focuses on this crashed plane the main character is in, and then a lot of kind of like stone kind of underground stuff. I don't know. I'm very torn because I was not the biggest fan of the original Amnesia, but I did like Soma. Soma I thought was really good, and I really enjoyed it.
Every time I hear Soma, my first thought is Castlevania, though. I can't not think of that every time somebody says Soma.
That's because you're a nerd. I think of Brave New World because I'm a literary masterpiece over here. Also, I've taken Soma because that's a real drug.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Does it make you want to be Dracula? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a sedative.
So it made you want to be Dracula?
No. It literally made me not want to beat anything. It made me want to sit down and go, oh, man, wow, ooh.
Yeah, Dracula in the middle of the day. He just sleeps.
It didn't have anything to do with Dracula, all right? And nothing to do with Dracula. And I'll tell you what else doesn't have anything to do with Dracula and that Silent Hill. It has nothing to do with Dracula. But
that we know of.
Ooh, you with your Lubies and your Dracula. I'm going to come over there.
Involves Konami, right?
This is going to turn into a thing where, like, when you try to leave, my door won't open, and there's like a bunch of, it's like rabid, or not rabid, what was that? Wreck? There's like a bunch of CDC guys outside. They've like locked us in here, and I'm like, God damn it, you let me out. He's talking about Lubies again. At least bring us some Lubies.
That's why they locked us in. That's a sign of Corona. It's speaking about Lubies too much.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've had some rumors that there's some Silent Hill games in the works, and we got another kind of whiff of this, but it's a really good whiff because apparently Masahiro Ito, Kenichiro Toyama, and Akira Yamaoka are like on board for making some new Silent Hill thing, and these are like the people that made the good Silent Hills back in the old days. Like, you know, there's a whole, I've been watching a lot of What Happened recently.
Yeah,
like,
it's great. I love it.
You go watch the one about Silent Hill Downpour, or even the HD remake. I feel so bad about being mad at the people who made the HD remake when I found out like how fucking hamstrung they were in that situation.
It's pretty ridiculous when you watch a lot of those videos.
But so this is actually really good news because it's a possibility that we might have some actual Silent Hill alumnus working on a new Silent Hill instead of just pooping out a cash grab or, you know, giving us a playable teaser and then never putting out a game. But
it's a great because it means it might not be just be a phone game
or a pachinko machine.
Oh yeah, or a pachinko phone game.
So everybody keep your fingers crossed. Cross them as hard as you can. Keep them all crossed, and let's just hope that Konami has gotten tired of putting out shitty shit, and that they're trying to at least realize that somebody at Konami has realized that if they make a good game, they will make money, and if they make bad games, they will not make any money, and that there's more money in video games than there are in pachinko. I don't think that's actually true.
I think what they're hoping for is that people remember that Konami is a thing,
right?
Because I think the issue is that they probably started losing money over time. Because they realized that, people knew who we were when we were making games, and now we haven't done anything. And so that's probably one of the reasons they kept doing all those HD things. They're like, remember us, we exist. Castlevania HD.
Like, hey,
all the Castlevanias.
Metal Gear Survive and a phone game for Castlevania.
Exactly.
Everybody's like, fuck you, Konami.
they need the good press again, I think, is part of it.
I think it would be good. I think it'd be good. I mean, the main thing is I don't really like Konami, like especially knowing for years the way their business works and like the fact that they'll demote people as a punishment, you know, to make them like
fitness center,
go work at the fitness center type of thing.
It's crazy.
And like they'll stalk them on social media. Konami's a shit ass company,
They're
right?
crazy people.
But they hold in their hands some of my favorite properties, and I want the properties to if I have to make a deal with the devil. I mean, I'm not really making much of a deal. I don't even have to stop talking shit about Konami. I just want some
great
games,
stuff, guys.
I want some games.
They used to be the best.
But you know what? Remember all the people over the course of the years of Rage Select when I would like an Obsidian game and they were like, well, does that mean that you like all the previous Obsidian games? So like, if they put out a good Silent Hill game, that does not mean that I like Metal Gear Survive any more than I did in the past. So
it's exactly what it means. We love Metal Gear Survive.
I hate Metal Gear Survive. Actually, you go back and listen to me. By the end of the second one, I was like, I don't know. And then I played it for like 40 minutes after Jason left, and I was like, oh, no, I know.
Yeah, it's super bad.
Speaking of spookiness, we also got some a big chunk of Resident Evil 3 footage comparing the 1999 original and the 2020 remake from PlayStation Underground. They talk a lot about kind of recreating certain parts that were part of the original game. Like they talked very specifically at the beginning of an interesting part where there was like a red barrel that was lined up and then just like way too many zombies. So the game was like teaching you to shoot red barrels.
Okay.
And then apparently this one's going to be a little bit more action oriented than the last one, which is potentially not a great thing. Like when Resident Evil gets too action oriented, then it tends to lose a little bit of it. But as I understand it, RE3 original Nemesis had like a kind of like a quick dodge system that you could use.
I never played the original RE3, to be honest.
Oh my god!
Like it wasn't something I had the ability to do.
Yeah,
because when I was younger, my brother bought a lot of the games I played, and when RE3 came out, he went to the Air Force, so I didn't have that weird sort of
that pipeline
of PS1 games coming into my house kind of thing the way I used to.
Yeah. But the other piece of news that we got to speak about Resident Evil 3, and I don't know if this is something that you've seen before, but there was a report from a game journalist, and I don't remember exactly who it was.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this at work.
Yeah, that in his story was like the safe rooms in Resident Evil 3 aren't even safe. So in Resident Evil 2, you're stalked by Mr. X, but there were rooms or save rooms you could go into where he couldn't come in, and then he would walk away. And this report was like, oh man, no, Nemesis will just bust into those safe rooms, and you're not even safe when you're in there. Turns out that's wrong.
Thank God.
The journalist that was playing this demo was not in a safe room. He was just in a room that had a save point.
Okay.
There's a difference because the save rooms will have like what the box.
It's got the box. It's got a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah, it'll usually have some ammo and stuff for you. So apparently, Nemesis cannot come into the safe rooms, so we don't have to worry about him busting the walls. I don't know.
When that story came out, half of my coworkers like, I don't want this anymore.
I don't know, man. What are you doing in the save room? You're saving your game? You can just run up to a typewriter while Nemesis is chasing you and just save your game and then run away. I mean, it's not like they have ribbons anymore. It's not like you have to save up your ribbons or anything.
Part of it's just some people need like a second to think and like heal and all that stuff.
Fuck that, man. You got to think on your feet. You got to heal on your feet. You got to run around a corner and install a mod that makes Nemesis into Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, Jesus.
And a Plays X is going to give it to you every time he comes through the wall.
That's all going to happen, too.
That's what you got to do. I bet the first mod is going to be to fix his nose, to fix his weird Nemesis nose that he's got now, because he's got a little tiny nose.
That's right,
instead of just like the kind of skeleton holes. So this weird...
I bet it's going to be a goose.
You think so?
That was like the first thing that happened to Kakarot. They made him a goose.
Oh yeah, I loved that one because they literally didn't have any animation, so it was just this goose flying around and things exploded, and there was no reaction from the goose whatsoever.
So crazy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of games with zombies in them, last week, right after we did the podcast, HBO announced that they're making a Last of Us series.
Yes.
That's going to be written by Neil Druckmann, who did Last of Us and Last of Us 2. I haven't really watched a lot from HBO recently. Do you have HBO? You watch that?
I have a friend's account. And HBO's done a lot of good stuff. You know, I'm a big fan of Barry. That Watchmen series was really good.
Did you? I never watched it. I heard good stuff.
It was really good.
Wait for it to be over.
It's fascinating what they did with that, but it really comes down to the talent. Whoever they get for it is really what it comes down to. Because there can be bad HBO shows. Like, let's just look at the
season 2
ending of Game of Thrones kind of thing.
Well, season 2 of
A True Detective?
Yeah,
season 2 of True Detective is a good example as well.
I'm sorry, podcast is just full of asides. You knew what you were getting into. We're a little weird today. I've been rewatching a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on Hulu. Did you know the episode where they go to the water park?
Oh, yeah, I knew about that.
The David Benioff and Weiss are like the two lifeguards in that episode?
Well, they wrote an episode of It's Always Sunny as well.
Oh, did they?
I think Flowers for Charlie was theirs, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, because it turns out they were huge fans of It's Always Sunny.
Uh-huh.
And then they were like, really? And so they wrote them an episode, and they're like, do you want to be in an episode? And that's why the water park one happens.
Okay.
Because it turns out they're massive fucking fans of It's Always Sunny.
Okay.
Which I think is amazing. I think that's also the reason I think Mac is in Game of Thrones for a second.
I don't remember that.
I think he's a cameo somewhere, if I remember
just
correctly.
Like in the background?
Yeah, I think he's a background
See
guy
the one
somewhere.
that puts down the Starbucks cup in that one scene in front of Daenerys?
Maybe. I don't know. That sounds like that could be an actual episode of It's Always Sunny if they tried.
Yeah. Well, speaking of stuff that's really popular, like Game of Thrones, let's talk about Call of Duty. Or I should have said, speaking of stuff that's really popular but everybody hates, let's talk about something similar like Call of Duty. Because we got a trailer this week and the release of Call of Duty Warzone, which is the new Battle Royale component for the Modern Warfare Call of Duty. Except this one is free. You can download it. Like you don't have to buy the game to get access to it. It's completely free, and you can download it. It's got 2 modes. It's got Plunder, which looks to be like some other game that did this, where you have to like pick up a thing, and then then you have to like go to an extraction zone with a thing. Payday maybe does this.
I think Payday does something very similar. I think as well as a few others, but it didn't have like different kinds of names.
Yeah, it's kind of a capture the flag.
It's like a coins thing, like in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
Smash Brothers is just like a coin section or something.
And then
that's the only thing I can compare it to.
And then just straight up Battle Royale. So
yeah.
I mean, this all looks very much like this trailer is like every Call of Duty trailer where it looks great, and I would be really excited to play that game that I'm seeing in this trailer, but I know that's not the game that this game is going to be.
Well, it's a bunch of people working together, and if you've watched a battle royale happen at any point, people don't like to work together.
Also, I mean, like, there's that scene where the guy shoots the other guy in the knees and then kicks him into a helicopter blade, and I'm like, unless there is a button to shoot in knees and like kick into helicopter blade, like
it's probably not gonna happen.
That's not gonna. Yeah, it looks great.
There's another one where like a guy sneaks up on a sniper, and the sniper turns around.
Yep.
But not in like a guy who's crouching kind of turn around.
Right.
Like it has an actual like full on.
Like
this
spin
is a
around
video.
on his belly like a crazy looking video game guy.
Yeah, that's not all of this is a thing. So yeah.
But what's actually really interesting about this is that apparently they've started with I think it's like 150 players right now.
Yeah.
But they're looking to raise that up to 200 players per session.
Oh, wow.
They said they've already got it running internally. In fact, I think they even said that they might have been testing 250. I'm like, good goddamn. How long? It's going to take like an hour and a half to finish a battle royale. There's going to be so many people.
No, you can die very fast in Call of Duty.
Well, that's true.
It may take longer. It may take a minute. It may take an hour. Who knows?
I kind of just wish there was a way for battle royale games to just be like, look, as soon as I die, don't even show me. Just connect me to the next game that's running. Like,
yeah, and then tell me how it went, I guess.
Yeah. Like you can put me in the waiting room and then show me like my score or a replay or something. But like, I hate having to push the button 4 times to get to the next game. I'm just like, no, listen, if I didn't win, just put me right into another game. I'll tell you when I'm ready to stop. All right.
Exactly.
I don't know. We're going to play this for Patreon. I'm sure it's going to go swimmingly.
Oh, it's going to go great.
Sure, it's going to go swimmingly.
We're going to win all of the games.
Yep. Well, speaking of winning games, PC players will be able to win Horizon Zero Dawn pretty soon.
Ooh.
And if Twitter is to be believed, this is the end of the PlayStation. PlayStation's over, everybody. Everybody, just so you know, PlayStation's over. One of the PlayStation exclusives has gone to the PC. PlayStation's over. Is it Bloodborne? No, it's not Bloodborne.
No.
But it is
Spider-Man? No, it's not
Spider-Man.
either.
Is it God of War?
No.
It's not God of War, you know. But it is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Which is still good.
Which is a very good game. And, yeah, it is officially coming. This was a rumor, kind of a bad rumor that we all knew was going to be true. But you know what? I look at this shit on Twitter because Twitter is like, you want to see video game news? Let me show you stupid shit. And I'm like, okay, I guess. Like every PlayStation rumor of the specs on the PS5, and I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what the specs in the console are as long as it plays video games I want to play. Like, I am not that guy anymore. I don't give a fuck who's got more flops in their shit. I don't care which box has more flops in it.
It's got more RAMs.
I don't care. All I want is the one that plays video games that doesn't have the fan turned on all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm using my Xbox One X right now. But
the mods are going to be great, though.
Yes. Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to PC. I think that's a great move. I think that I do not believe that this is the beginning of every Sony game eventually being on the PC. Because you know what? Every Xbox game isn't on the PC. There's still like plenty of shit. Well, actually, nowadays. But there was a time period, like in the 360.
There was a lot of time frame where a lot of those games, and there's a lot of games that have still never been on PC.
Like Halo 1 just got put on Steam last week.
Yeah.
Like I know it was out for the PC, but like
Halo 1 and 2 I think were out for the PC, but Reach finally made it to the PC. Yeah. As well as and Red Dead Redemption 2, like the Red Dead Redemption 1 has not ever been released on PC.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Like not everything got a PC release, and it's going to be like that for a while.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you know, if you were a game company, why the fuck wouldn't you do that? Like, anybody who's going to buy a PlayStation for Horizon Zero Dawn, they done that shit already. Like, they might buy a PlayStation for Ghost of Tsushima or, like, Last of Us 2, but nobody's going to be like, oh, you mean I can play Horizon Zero Dawn on my PC? Oh, well, fuck it. No, put it back on the shelf. Let's go get some more RAM for my video card.
It's not like the Metal Gear games are on PC or like all of them. It's not like that's the thing. Like there's a lot of games that aren't on PC technically legally.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just how everything is.
I don't see it as a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
I don't see it as a bad thing.
Unless it's a bad port, then it's a bad thing.
Let's talk about Nintendo for a few minutes, Michael. We've talked about everybody else. Let's talk about Nintendo.
Ooh. What did they do this time?
No, 2 things. Good and confusing. There are 2 things. One is good and one is confusing. There's So the first thing is that there's been this meme, I don't know if you know it, that's on Twitter about like, when the fuck is there going to be a Nintendo Direct?
I did not know that was a meme.
Yeah, there's this whole, as I say, Twitter shows me video game stuff, and I still look at it from time to time, about this whole like, there was a Smash Brothers Direct, there was an Animal Crossing Direct. When are we going to get the next like just a Nintendo Direct?
Yeah,
where you talk about stuff that's not focused on one specific thing, and the answer is this month. Because there's going to be 2 this month. One is going to be an indie showcase, which is always fun, and then the one at the end of the month is going to be a general Nintendo Direct. So
cool.
Everybody that's looking for a new Nintendo Direct, you can shut your fucking mouths up now, and there's going to be one. The other thing is that Nintendo and Lego have teamed up, and they're putting out Lego Super Mario. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this a game? And the answer is sort of.
It's fascinating. I actually watched this trailer before I came here.
Okay. It's like a giant Mario that's made out of like Duplo Legos with big eyes, and then you can literally make him jump on top of, like, physically.
Yeah.
You pick up the Mario and you put the Mario on top of a thing, and then there's a little LED in his chest and a sensor, and it goes like, "It's me, Mario," and his like eyes blink and his mouth changes. There's like little screens on his eyes and his mouth, and there's like these weird oversized Lego sets, and you can have him stomp on Goombas. It's the strangest fucking thing I've ever seen.
It's fascinating because it's like somebody was like, well, we want to make a Lego set that's a level, but not just have it be like a normal Lego. It's like it's a game, like straight up.
Yeah,
like it gives the kids a timer, and then the song gets faster the way a Mario level does when the time gets lower. It's fucking weird.
It kind of reminds me of like Mousetrap, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
You have to put a whole because these Legos don't look like they look modified. Like some of them look like regular Legos, but like Mario is gigantic.
Yeah, Mario's gigantic. So is the Shy Guy they showed in the very beginning.
And like the pipes and stuff.
Yeah, as well as the Goombas are kind of big.
Yeah, so
and everybody's not like a circle kind of, because the thing about normal Legos, they tend to be circlish. Everybody's like a very big block.
Yeah,
in this.
It's really strange.
It's a little disturbing.
It's really strange.
The way Mario looks kind of disturbs me every now and then in this trailer.
I kind of want the Mario, though. I kind of wish I could just buy the Mario.
You probably could. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, this whole thing is going to be like fucking $300 or something.
Oh, most likely.
Because it's a Lego.
Well, everything has an electronic in it. That's probably the other thing.
It's true.
Everything's a chip.
It's a small price to pay for...
The Luigi one will be cheaper, probably.
Get out of here. Get out of here with that Luigi shit. Speaking of getting the fuck out of here, hey, Command & Conquer's getting re-released. So we knew this was happening. We got a teaser for it, but there's a Command & Conquer Remastered Edition, and we got kind of a full-on trailer for it. I did not realize that this was just Tiberian Dawn and Red Alert 1 and their expansion packs.
Yeah.
But it's just those 2 games. It's not all of them. And I'm a little mad about that, Michael, because I really love Command & Conquer Generals, and there's really no way to play Command & Conquer Generals at this point without having like the original disc or buying. I think that if you go to Origin, you can buy like a full collection of every Command & Conquer game for like $40.
Oh, yeah.
That has Generals in it, but you can't just buy Generals by itself. And I hate that shit because I like Generals. It was weird.
Maybe they'll work on it next time.
Anyway, this looks like a really slick. There's kind of a 3-minute video where they kind of go over everything.
Oh, okay.
It's a very slick presentation of what they're doing. Like the gameplay, all the sprites have been redone. They're going to have the button to switch between the old sprites and the new sprites.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice. They've got a lot of like online matchmaking stuff and custom games, and I think they're putting in an editor with it so you can make your own stuff. They've even done this weird thing where they apparently somebody at EA or somebody somewhere just like threw away the fucking tapes that had the actual live action on them, and so they'd use this weird AI upscaler thing to get everything into 4K, and it looks a little strange, but
yeah, there's a few points when it happens and you're just like everything
looks very like smudgy. It's like when you know the mode when they take like an old 16-bit game and then there's like the mode to soften the pixels and it's just kind of like chunky around the edges. Kind of reminds me of that. There's
a lot of YouTube videos like that though that do a pretty good job of something like this. So
yeah,
maybe they got some of those people to help them.
I don't know. It's also this pack is going to be $20, which that's not too bad.
That's not bad at all, actually.
2 old games. So yeah, there's a lot more information of it out there. Oh, also the guy that originally did the score for Command & Conquer is coming back to remaster the entire thing.
Oh.
And there's like 10 additional tracks with his Command & Conquer metal band that he has. that's gonna
of course he has a Command & Conquer metal
band.
Band.
There. Yeah. They're called the Tiberian Sons.
Oh, wow. That's kind of awesome, actually.
As long as it has... what's that? The Red March or whatever from Command & Conquer Red Alert. You know the like.
Oh
or no.
I don't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
The one with the stomping on it.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
I don't know the name of it either.
You know, there was a fucking banging version of that in Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 because I played the fuck out of Command & Conquer Red Alert 2. You get Allied dolphins versus Soviet squids, and Einstein's weather machine versus Udo Kier as Yuri's mind control and the nukes. Also, that one guy was the president of Russia, and another guy was the president. I think did one of those have Jenny McCarthy in it?
I think that's 3.
Was that 3?
One of them is that I think Tim Curry is in 3 as well, or is that the second one?
Fuck.
It's the one where when he yells that he's going into space. At the end of it,
he's the Russian president, isn't he?
He's the Russian president.
I think that's in the 3rd one.
He says he's leaving, going to the one place that hasn't been touched by capitalism.
Right,
spice. And the way he says it is so fucking funny.
That's
and
also
you can tell he's trying not to laugh the entire time.
That had the expansion that had George Decay as the Asian commander.
That's right.
Yeah. That shit was fucking bananas.
3 was bananas. Yeah.
What did that one have wasn't one of the commandos in 3 was like a wrestler, like a famous wrestler? I'm forgetting this.
It might have been. I don't know. It's been a long time since I played 3.
Been a long time.
I played it for a little bit, and that game was fucking crazy.
Been a long time.
I'm not good at those games.
Yeah. All right, let's get going because we're already over time. Let's see. We got a launch trailer for Doom Eternal.
Oh.
As previously stated, Doom Eternal fucking bangs. It slaps. It's on fleek.
I can only get so erect is the way I could describe this trailer.
And you know what, Michael? I'm also so glad that a lot of the early buzz is all good.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a thing yet where it's like, oh, guys, I'm so sorry, but they fucked up Doom. Like, it's Bethesda, man.
Yeah.
They could have done it. They could have done it.
They easily could have done it. Is the thing. And the fact that it hasn't been delayed. Is a goddamn miracle right now.
Yep. It looks great. It looks absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait to play it. I'm pretty sure that if the time works out, that Amanda and I are going to play all the way through it like we did with the original Doom.
You should. It looks really good.
But I really don't want to because that means that we have to play it like week to week, and I can't just sit down and fucking murder my way through it in a day.
That with control.
Yeah. And it was a nightmare.
Oh, jeez.
But you know what? It is better when you play a game that you really like and you look forward to doing the sequential every week than Fatal Frame 2 is not the game I remembered it was.
Yeah, it happens.
It's not bad, but it's just not the game I remembered.
That's super exciting, guys.
All right, let's go from the ripping and tearing of Doom to the ripping and tearing of Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat animated movie?
Yeah.
We got a new trailer for Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. Not a lot of information here that I feel like was in the original one, that it's kind of a retelling of Mortal Kombat. Scorpion's going to be kind of one of the main characters, and it's going to be kind of telling the tournament. The main thing here is it's just bloody as hell.
It's bloody, so fucking bloody, guys.
There's X-ray attacks.
It's kind of amazing.
In this animated film. And the trailer makes a point of being they're swearing and there's blood everywhere, and I'm like,
just people fucking. It's like, what?
Okay,
probably not that part. But.
It's like somebody finally realized, oh right, adults will watch a cartoon if it's violent enough. And it's like, well, yeah,
it's still kind of blocky, but the thing that makes it kind of fun that it's blocky is it reminds me of the old USA cartoon.
Okay,
Defenders of the Realm.
I can see that.
It's like somebody saw that and it's like, what if we actually added the blood to this?
Yeah, what if we added a lot of blood and swearing to this? I don't know. I'll watch it. I've watched worse. I watched Red Sun. I can watch this.
All I know is I want this to be good because I still like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
as even its story. I actually legitimately like Mortal Kombat story.
Man,
it's straightforward, knows what it wants, and it's got Johnny Cage in it.
First Mortal Kombat story should be easy as hell.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like Outworld's invading. There's a tournament. Raiden's got to gather up the defenders of Earth. We're gonna go have a fighting tournament, and whoever wins, and here's Goro. Oh shit, we managed to win.
They definitely want to flesh out Scorpion though, based on the title of it.
Yeah, I would say
people love Scorpion.
You know what? I really liked was it in Mortal Kombat 11 where there was like a chapter that was just the like Scorpion and Sub-Zero buddy cop.
Oh yeah,
part.
It's the best part of that game.
I loved it. So I loved it. Also, speaking of Mortal Kombat 11, we got some gameplay, and I believe he's going to be out in like a week. Is Spawn?
Yeah, he's out on the 17th for people with the combat pass.
Oh, okay. So by the time you hear this, it'll still have a couple days. He's a real weird looking fighter. He's got a lot of cape attacks, a lot of chain attacks.
They made a point to keep his cape in this because a lot of Spawn games don't have his cape for some reason
because it's fucking horrible to animate.
Well, that's the main reason, but it looks great is the thing. He looks really cool. He's got a lot of guns.
Yep.
He's got like 3 different outfits they show.
Yep.
Like classic Spawn, modern Spawn.
Yeah, more like there's one that's got a lot of texture, like the movie looks like it's wet all the time.
Yeah. And there's like one that's just like gun as fuck.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. He's covered in bullets.
I saw one that we had a bunch of like horns and shit coming out of it.
Okay.
Too. So yeah, it looks good. I mean, the thing is that if you're into Mortal Kombat 11, I don't know if it's still going on, but there was a sale last week where I got the combat pass for like $15.
I think it ends pretty soon if it hasn't already.
Okay.
But they got Keith David back to be Spawn.
Oh, okay.
He was the voice for him on the HBO show.
Okay.
So
I thought I recognized that voice.
Yeah, they made a point to get him back for it.
Man, they even made that dumb shoe that goes over his whole foot work. Like
that stupid big fucking boot thing he has for some reason.
Yeah. The only thing is when his fatality, when like the arms came out of the ground and ripped the guy, I'm like, could you have just put the Violator in there for like a minute?
Yeah.
Like the stupid Violator.
There's a reference to the Violator though.
Yeah.
In a Joker intro because they've been showing off some other intros that he has that he talks to people. Mm-hmm. And when he talks to the Joker, his last thing is like, "I fucking hate clowns."
Oh, there you go.
I was like, "Yeah, you do."
I hate John Leguizamo. All right, let's get political for 5 minutes, Michael.
We're talking about Spawn still?
No. Yes. Well, we're talking about Mortal Kombat because Sonic Fox won a Mortal Kombat tournament.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
He just walked up and said, "Vote for Bernie Sanders," and he fucking bamfed out of there. Sonic Fox is a very divisive character. Not derisive. It's not derisive. He's divisive character. So that happened. I personally don't think that. I think you should vote who you want to vote for. I don't.
He used his platform to say what he wanted.
He did.
And he just happens to be a guy in a blue furry outfit.
Look, man, like, if Sonic Fox is in a gaming competition, you know what you're getting into. He's a transgender furry, all right? Like,
my favorite thing I saw, though, was, I think it was a Hard Times, because Hard Times is like at the Indian.
Yeah.
Where it was like Sonic Fox challenged by his edgier cohort, Shadow Wolf.
Oh, God.
And I was like, I want this to be a thing really badly.
But in further news, I don't know if you saw this because not a lot of people go to Steam, but apparently there's also a Bernie Sanders Steam game.
A what?
That came out called Super Bernie World.
Oh, Jesus.
And it is just straight up a Super Mario Brothers ripoff with Bernie Sanders. And but what I appreciate about this game is that the Koopas are all Mitch McConnell.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. And he gets like Vermont cheese to power up. And it's just like, it's very much straight up.
Oh, God, it is Mitch McConnell.
Super Mario Brothers ripoff. It's also free. It was made by like a pack that was trying to like get the young people into Bernie Sanders, which I don't think they need to worry about because they all seem to be into Bernie Sanders. But
Jesus.
And then like then like Bowser is Trump, and like there's a lot of
buddy.
Oh, that wasn't actually him. That was just like a generic corporate fat cat.
Still though,
at the very end, there's an actual like 8-bit Donald Trump, and this is all just.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you can go play that if you want to. Like I said, it's free. It's on Steam. It doesn't seem like it takes a lot of computing power. I'm kind of
want to play this.
I'm kind of curious as to whether or not. I mean, like, I guess Nintendo can't sue them if Super Gianna Sisters is still a thing, then I don't think that Nintendo can sue the Super Burning World people.
Some of it comes up to them, but since they're not selling it, they could probably get away with the whole parody thing.
Okay. Speaking of not selling a thing, if you own State of Decay 2, there's a gigantic update called Juggernaut that just came out that's supposed to improve every single aspect of the game. It's also part of the Steam release of the game, and there's supposed to be some graphical updates, some map updates, some UI stuff, some control stuff, all kinds of stuff. And if you got Game Pass, of course, you got it for free.
Hooray.
I've never...
Take a drink.
I've never cared for State of Decay quite as much as a lot of other people have, but I am installing it, and we'll see what happens.
Cool.
Additionally, we have the announcement that came out last week that the old Blade Runner adventure game from a million years ago is getting remastered and put out for the PC, the PS4, the Switch, and the Xbox One.
Which is a fascinating move.
Yeah. It's also a Westwood game. I wonder if Westwood has figured out that like they've got no money coming in, and if they put games out that people might buy them. I remember trying to play this a long time ago, but it was very frustrating because it was like, it's an adventure game, but there's no right or wrong answer. You have to make your own decisions, and you won't know whether they were right until the end of the game. And I was like, God, fuck that. I want to be Paragon, not like morally ambiguous.
I always think it's funny when they're just like, there's no wrong or right answers. That was the wrong thing, by the way.
Right.
It's like, what? It's like, you didn't tell me that 4 hours ago?
I don't actually know that because I played the game for about an hour.
Well, adventure games back then were really bad about that sort of thing, though, is the thing.
But that's going to be coming out sometime in 2020, and I'll probably play it because, like I said, I've heard nothing but good stuff about this particular game.
Yeah,
never played it before. Maybe worth a shot. Now, as far as games that may not be worth a shot, who knows? We've got more information that there's probably going to be a new Tony Hawk game this year.
Oh God!
A punk band called The Death Set put out a tweet that said, just license 5 new songs to Tony Hawk 2020 game. You'll be hearing this shit soon. And then immediately took that shit down.
Those dumb motherfuckers.
Because you're not supposed to say that, but it doesn't matter because we've all screenshotted your tweets and we don't. Somebody did it. And
we now know.
So there's probably going to be a Tony Hawk 2020 game. It was probably going to be announced at the E3. That's not happening anymore.
My favorite thing about Tony Hawk nowadays is his Twitter feed.
Because
his Twitter feed is one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever read.
Okay.
Because a lot of it's him going about his day and people not realizing that he's Tony Hawk. It's a lot of people just going, you look like somebody. And he's like, you ever been told you look like Tony Hawk? He's like, all the time. Like that happens to him all the time. It's the funniest goddamn thing. Like reading about it. You guys should read his Twitter feed. It's amazing.
There you go. All right, Michael, I apologize for this next story. I bet you already knew this, and you don't probably appreciate me bringing it up again, but...
Is it Cacrat?
There is a small, great statue of the Spider-Man from PS4 Spider-Man.
Go on.
Apparently, the same company was making like a gigantic one that was $1,100. This one is $85.
Ooh.
And it's about the size of 2.5 apples on top of each other.
That's interesting.
So perfect for a desk. It looks really nice. It's, yeah.
I mean, you're saying I should buy this.
I'm saying that if you didn't know about this, I apologize for spending $85 on your behalf.
I really want it.
Because, yeah.
It looks really cool.
It looks pretty cool. It's just big enough to be, like, nice.
That suit has grown on me, by the way.
Yeah.
For a while, when it first was shown, I was like, I don't know, I don't really like it. But as time's gone on, I'm like, I really like this thing.
Oh, the White Spider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought its comic adaptation not too long ago.
Oh, there you go.
It's like $20.
There you go. And I forget where this is. This is from Sideshow, a company called Sideshow.
Oh, Sideshow? Oh, my God. Sideshow makes so many really good ones that are stupid expensive.
Yeah.
They make this great green arrow that's like $1,500. And they have financing plans for their statues.
Oh, my God.
And it's like, fuck, dude.
So
your stuff is so expensive, but they're gorgeous.
Wow, it does look really good. Yeah, I know that every time there's been a few like Dark Souls things that have come out that have always been like, oh, that's really nice. How much is it? And they're like $700. And I'm like, oh, you go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You fuck yourself all day long.
Every time Sideshow announces something, that's exactly what my thought of the process is.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that shit.
That's really good. Look at the Superman one. That's really good.
Like every time they show something, I'm like, man, that looks amazing. That would be $2,000. Fuck you.
Yeah. So, yeah. $85.
Yep.
Now you want that? I actually really want the significantly cheaper pop-up book full of Sega arcade consoles.
Ooh.
This is a really interesting thing. It's being made by this read-only memory, and it's basically a history of Sega arcade games, but then it's also a pop-up book that has like tiny little pop-ups of replicas of what the arcade cabinets look like, but then the pages talking about them. And they're really these super nice little pop-ups that come up, like they got Hang On and Afterburner and Space Harrier, and they look like a little tiny arcade game in a pop-up book.
Actually,
yeah. Which I'm actually kind of on the verge because this is £35, which I don't know how much that is. Like
40, 30, something like that.
$1 million.
It's not a lot.
Okay,
all things considered.
Yeah, or
especially since the pound, I think, has gone down.
Oh, there you go.
Because of the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, bad for you, good for me. Yeah. And then last but not least, we have a really interesting story. Michael, I don't know if you knew about this, but there was a time before the PlayStation came out where Sony was working with Nintendo to create the Nintendo PlayStation.
The infamous story.
Yep. It was going to have
they created their greatest rival.
CD-ROM drive.
It's like a comic origin story.
Yep. Whole thing fell apart, but there were like 200 dev kits or like prototypes that were made of this PlayStation. And one of them ended up with this guy. He bought it at an estate sale. And then I think it's like the only one left. Like there's not that many left.
I think there was one other one that like the guy's dad had.
Yeah.
I remember the first time anybody ever saw them, it was some guy like found it like at his dad's house or something.
Yeah.
Something like that, if I remember correctly.
So this guy's been like going all over the country with this thing, like showing it off and like bringing it to gaming expos and stuff like that. And he decided that he had to sell it because he wanted to recoup some of his cost from doing all of this. And it turns out that a private investor offered him, or no, it was like a video game heritage center or museum or something, offered him like $1.2 million for it. And he decided to turn that down because he wanted it to go up on auction. And he even said that after getting his $1 million, once the taxes were taken out and he split it two ways with his son, who went on a lot of these things, that he would basically break even for the expenses that he paid for schlepping this thing around and taking it to shows and stuff because he paid for it all out of pocket. And I was like, that's fucking stupid.
That's a weird thing to do.
Like, if you cared about it, why did you spend so much money doing this?
Like you could have asked, and people probably would have helped pay for that stuff.
Right. In any case, he decided that he wanted to hold out for the actual auction on eBay and find out, or I don't know if it was on eBay or somewhere. He wanted to wait for the actual online auction because he thought, I can get more than $1 million. This is a priceless video game artifact. This is super expensive. People will pay money for this. And people did pay money for it. Specifically, Michael, the founder of Pets.com paid like $360,000 for it.
Yeah, which is still quite a bit, but apparently the guy spent way more money than that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's weird that you had that much money lying around, apparently.
Yeah. I also find it really weird that the Pets.com guy did that, but apparently the Pets. Here's your fun fact for the day. Apparently the guy that created Pets.com, because they sold Pets.com to Amazon and then Pets.com went under.
Oh, okay.
In the .com, in the bubble burst. Apparently that guy like has all this old video game stuff. Like he collects old vintage video game stuff, and he has like some whole thing that he's doing with them. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
Good for him.
But yeah, so that's just, somebody, Michael, I'm just gonna say this right now. Somebody offered me $1 million for anything except for my dog or like body parts, I would give it to them.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to pay me $1 million for some stupid thing, my Oculus DK2, it'd be like, sure, man. I'd sell my Oculus DK2 for like $1,000.
Yeah, if somebody walked up to me and they was just like, hey, your old original Super Nintendo, I give you $1 million for that. I'm like, I love this thing, but fuck, yes, I will give you this for that.
But now I can quit my job.
Yeah, now I can just buy another Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Yep. So that's our stories for the week, and we've gone way the fuck over time. We are going to have to keep our questions a little minimal, but we are going to do them. So stick around, and we'll be back in just a minute. Michael, it is time for questions. Are you ready to answer some questions?
Yes.
Okay, good. I like
questions
the
are very, very bold
in your voice. Yes, you can't read it from over there.
So bold.
Yes, mail@rangeselect.com is the email address, and our first question this week comes in from Christian. Christian says, "Hello, Jeff and Michael. Firstly, I wish to express my deep disappointment regarding last week's podcast when you were asked to name the greatest fictional presidents of all time."
Oh, jeez.
I read this one. This is legit. And you flagrantly neglected to mention the protagonist, a.k.a. the boss, a.k.a. Loretta, the queen of horsey sauce from Saints Row 4. My disappointment was immeasurable, and my day was ruined. I'm sorry, Christian. That one's on us. That's a good answer.
In my defense, I wasn't mostly there for that part.
Yeah.
I was watching still.
What?
The Lenore part, when you actually made her.
Loretta.
When you actually made Loretta. I accidentally said Lenore, too.
Yeah.
When you actually made Loretta. I was watching at the point, but it's my memory is kind of shot lately.
Yeah. Moving on, I was recently able to scrape together enough funds to purchase an Oculus Rift S and test the waters of VR. One of the first games I purchased was Star Wars Vader Immortal. During the opening sequence of the game, you are being chased by Hutt Cartel starfighters and needing to make the jump to light speed. In order to do this, you must flip a series of switches and push the throttle handle forward in order to activate the ship's hyperdrive. There's something about this minor experience in the game that felt just so satisfying to me. The solid click clunk of sound of the controls, the music, and the visuals all coalesced and made this very short / insignificant part of the game feel so good. My question to you, fine folks, is this. Can you think of a time in your gaming history that a series of small details came together to make a rather insignificant sequence feel just right? Whether that be something with a cool design, nice sound effect, or oh-so-smooth animation, etc., all working as one to make a seemingly small sequence feel impactful. Keep on keeping on, and that's from Christian.
There's some stuff that I could probably think of, but the problem is I have to think about it for a second.
You got to dig deep. You got to dig deep on that stuff.
Actually, honestly, the most of Spider-Man PS4 is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the times, every time I play that game, it's like there's so much thought into a lot of the way web swinging works and the way his suit is and the way his eyes are.
Just the way it feels.
It just feels amazing. Like it's such a small detail. Actually, you know what? That's the thing. The smallest detail in Spider-Man PS4 that made me incredibly happy was the fact that you could just walk up to a random NPC and just take a selfie with them, essentially. Like you could just thumbs up people and walk by them like, "Hey, how's your day?" kind of thing. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a small sequence that was a little bit removed from maybe a full-on gameplay that just worked in and of itself. I will say, as far as small sequences go, this is a really weird thing, but I remember the first time that I played the Nightmare sequence in Metal Gear Solid 3 when you're playing Nano Breaker.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing weird Devil May Cry now? Like, what is... And then it's just like, boom, awake, and I was like, this is the closest there's ever been to actually representing what a dream is in a video game, because it's just something that's completely off the wall, and you're just like, I guess I'll go with this, and you're like, wait, and then suddenly your character wakes up and you're just like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of what having a dream is like.
It's a shame it's not in a lot of the later versions of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Is it not?
Yeah, since it was a demo for another game that never got made, they just took it out entirely.
It's not the HD remaster?
As far as I know, it's not.
Oh, okay.
At least that's because I remember looking it up. I'm like, how do you get that? It's like, oh, it's not in the later games. It's like, that sucks.
Okay.
So I think it's only in the original one and maybe some of the PS2 re-releases.
Yeah.
For subsistence.
I can definitely say that when it comes to VR, I still think one of the best VR experiences that I've ever had in my life was the X-Wing campaign in Battlefront. Even though it's just one little quick series of missions, man, it was just so good. I would play a whole game that was that. I would play a whole game that was just a Rogue Squadron or TIE Fighter type of thing, because in VR it's like you're in an X-Wing and you look down and you see that control panel, because the Battlefront team had access to all that, all the models and the sets and the archives and stuff, and they scanned a lot of that stuff in with Frostbite. And so when you look down, it's like, oh, there's the little thing where you put the TIE Fighter in the middle, you could do that like they show in the movie with the little numbers that are counting down and stuff. And then, all of that just went together because you were immersed inside of it. And so like all the sounds were those Star Wars sounds, and all the sights were the Star Wars sights. You fucking flying your X-Wing around, shooting at TIE fighters. It was great. It was absolutely fantastic. But that's more kind of like a tone thing more than anything else.
No, it's very similar to what he's saying, because like all his original stuff was all the feeling he got from just doing that one sequence was kind of great.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one that I could say that I know is a very typical answer for me, which is in the Ghostbusters video game. It's like the final level section, because it was the moment when you're like, well, I'm literally with all 4 Ghostbusters, like standing next to the Ecto-1 kind of thing. Even in the game sequence, there was something great about it. Like there was this great little feeling of it. I'm like, I love everything about this kind of thing. And the first time you turn on that proton pack, it's just like, it's like magic.
It's the audio, right?
Yeah.
Like the audio is just so good. Of like you've been watching this shit in a non-interactive movie for years, and now it's like when I hit this button, it makes the proton pack noise,
exactly,
and it sounds exactly like it does in the movie, and just like
the best.
Yeah. There's something about really, really good audio design like that really just takes a thing like, up to the next level. It's one of the reasons why I still have a hard time hating even the bad Star Wars games, because like when you play Battlefront 2 and when you shoot the guns it makes the noise from Star Wars, and when you go as Darth Vader you got the breathing and the lightsaber sound and like all that stuff.
Well, not only that, like all the big booming John Williams themes are still going on.
Yeah,
like when I first played the first Battlefront for PS4, the second I got that Millennium Falcon and you hear the sound of it and the sound of the blaster and all just doing spins and shit, you're like, oh, this is just fucking rad.
Yeah.
Like, I love everything about this.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that kind of comes to mind. I'm just having a hard time kind of figuring out. I'm just trying to think of something where it's like a sequence in a game that was so radically different than the things that are that were like around it. But
I think Control's hallway, the maze thing sequence.
Oh, the ashtray maze?
The ashtray maze.
That was pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good sequence like that.
It's pretty different than everything else that kind of came before. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Christian, if I think of something while we're talking, I'll just yell it out.
Also, in Max Payne 3, when the Tear song comes on when you're in the airport, that sequence is just amazing. I played the game in the hardest difficulty. When that song played, I refused to die in that sequence, and I just murdered everything. It was the best.
Let's see. Kevin writes in with a question that I think is probably more directed at me than you, and says, "What's your favorite local place to get the bounty of our vegan lord? Hail Satan and praise Dongacles," and that's from Kevin.
That's definitely for you.
Yeah, Michael doesn't do the vegetarian.
Is this some kind of joke that I'm too carnivore to understand?
Do you know what Satan is?
Satan?
It's like it's like pure gluten basically, and when you mix it up and then you like cook it, it makes this kind of like spongy material that's it's got a texture that's similar to meat, and it's used for a lot of fake meat basically.
Okay. I think I've heard it somewhere.
Yeah, I thought about holding off on this question, but then I was like, well, it would either be you or John, and both of you.
Yeah, we wouldn't.
Neither
know.
one of you do that shit. So there's actually a couple of places.
Burger King, I guess. I don't know. They have the Impossible offer.
That's true. There's a couple places here in town that are actually pretty good for that. There was one called Veggie Heaven that was down on the drag that I used to really, really, really like to go to, but I think they've shut down. Well, that's the first time I had seitan, where they would like cut it into little strips and then like deep fry it in like a brown sauce with broccoli and shit. It was great.
Oh, okay.
There's a restaurant here in Austin called Mother's that's down over by Hyde Park, and
sounds familiar.
It's a full vegetarian place that just do vegetarian food. All that stuff is super good, and I like it a lot. There's also the Kirby Lane Cafe and Magnolia both have huge amounts of vegetarian options. I think Magnolia is probably a little bit better because, I don't know, a lot of the places here that I feel like are veggie in Austin don't rely on fake meat. They're just like, here's a portobello mushroom burger with a bunch of spinach on it.
There's quite a few of those. Like, there's a place that had a beet burger that I found out about in the Domain.
Did you know, this means nothing to anybody, so unless you live in Austin, Burger Tex is shutting its doors.
Really?
Yep. It's been 50 years they've been in town. For anybody who doesn't know, Burger Tex is a really interesting burger place here in Austin. They have these really good buns and burgers and stuff, but they also they kind of got their name because you could also get bulgogi sandwiches there, which is like a fried pork type of thing that I think is Korean. I'm not entirely sure.
Can't say.
But they also had really good burgers. They had really good veggie burgers too. I used to love getting their veggie burgers. It's because they had these really big fluffy potato buns that I think fresh baked every day. So, you know, they didn't have any of that pushback that you get from most buns. They were just super soft, super fluffy buns that were all really, really good.
That's unfortunate.
Yep. Let's see. GT writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff and Michael, hope this email finds y'all in good health. A friend of mine and I were having a discussion about the protagonist of the game Jedi Fallen Order. My friend said he didn't care for the protagonist, Cal, and I did. My subjective reason was that the protagonist of the game, besides being a Jedi, seemed like a normal guy thrown into strange and frightening situations, which is what I like to see in my adventure stories, and wish there was more of that. Or at least wish that I knew more examples of this trope offhand. Feel free to make me recommendations. My question to you is, what makes you like or relate to a protagonist in a game or otherwise? Thanks again." And that's from GT. I feel like the kind of fish out of water, every man in a messed up situation is a lot of stories. Not even just video game stories, but just like stories in general. What makes you like a protagonist more in a movie or a video game?
That answer changes a lot, though. Is the thing over time. When I was younger, I used to be that dude who was just like, it's got to be a dude kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I'm like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I think like that? And then over time, I actually like kids kind of thing. So when a guy's like real nice to a kid, I'm usually kind of. That's why I'm such a big fan of The Last of Us, because it's one of those things that I was very much on Joel's side, literally from beginning to end.
He's a goddamn monster.
Literally to the end.
He's a goddamn monster.
To the literal end, I was on Joel's side.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I shot that dude in the face the second it let me.
He's a goddamn monster.
Like I said, totally on his side. Me and Joel, I get you, buddy.
Okay.
But it's just one of those things that, like, I find myself getting more into. I find myself more relating to characters the older I get, the older the characters, kind of thing. And I find that interesting because I used to get into like the super young, peppy looking guy, but now I'm just like, I don't care about that guy. I'm more into like, that's why I'm such a big fan of the Uncharted series, because Nathan Drake grew up essentially with me. I felt kind of thing. The same with even some of the other stuff I've watched and read over time.
A lot of datification going on in games. Kratos got older. Kiryu Kazama's gotten older. You know, there are a lot of protagonists that they've aged up along with the aging population of video game players. So.
And I find myself really relating to them more and more because it's just one of those things that you realize that, like, I'm not super old either. Like, it's not like I'm that much older than a lot of other people, but it's just one of those things that I've done a lot of things that I'm not super proud of, kind of thing. And I look back at them in a weird kind of light. But Kratos has the same thing. He's like, he's done a lot of shit he's not proud of, and he looks at it in a different light, kind of thing. And I like that. And I find myself enjoying those characters more and more as time has gone on. And I still like, the occasional silent protagonist. Like, I'm still a big fan of them, depending on the situation. But yeah, it's a tough one. And I still really like super badass ones, I guess, if that makes sense. Like the super cocky ones. I love super cocky ones. Yeah, especially when they actually are funny. Nothing's worse than a protagonist who's cocky but isn't funny in any way. She's just such an asshole.
Give me an example.
Well, when they made Matt Hazard, for instance.
Okay.
Like, Matt Hazard was supposed to be a parody of that kind of thing, but it wasn't funny at all.
Yeah.
Whereas I still laugh at Duke Nukem games, kind of thing.
I was just trying to think. It was hard to think about what I like, and then I started thinking about what I don't like, and I think that I kind of your answer kind of informs a little bit on that, where I'm not a big fan anymore of any kind of protagonist that would appeal to, say, like a 17-year-old.
Yeah,
like
it's hard to really get into Persona lately. Yeah, because it's like date the 17-year-old. I'm like, no.
I was thinking more like
or like high school game, or games where anybody's in high school. I think is the thing.
Yeah, I think I could still I can still kind of get on board with some of those things. The one that was really standing out to me for some reason was like Delson Rowe in Infamous Second Son.
Oh yeah,
where he's just like, fight the power. Oh, fuck you guys! You gotta do this spray painting this wall, and I'm just like, get a job, you shit. You know,
it's like, fuck you, old man. It's like, no.
Or like, it's funny because I remember. By the way, if anybody listened to the One of Us podcast, where we're talking about the best movies of the last decade, I realized the other day that I didn't scream and make everybody stop and listen to me for 5 minutes, and I realized that Scott Pilgrim came out in the last 10 years, a Scott Pilgrim movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking that's way up there. In any case, it's funny because when I actually kind of like the Scott Pilgrim movie, but when I read the Scott Pilgrim comics, I was like, I do not like this Scott Pilgrim person. Like,
I think that's the point on that one, though.
But see, I think that if I was like a teenager, I think I could really relate to Scott Pilgrim's kind of like, what do I do with my life type of thing. But nowadays, even though I have no children and I run a video game website, I'm not really very sympathetic with like, what will I do? And I'm like, well, stop being a shit and just be a person. Like,
that's kind of how it ends, though, is the thing.
Yes.
Like, if anyone's ever read the actual Scott Pilgrim thing, it's about him eventually learning that he's a shit and he needs to move on.
And I think the movie is like that too. It's just the thing is that you can watch that happen in the movie in like 2 hours, and there's like 18 volumes of the comic or something like that.
Like 8.
Oh, okay.
It's not a lot, to be honest.
But they're still,
and they're not that long.
There's a lot of Scott Pilgrim waffling. Hey, I don't like comic book Scott Pilgrim. Okay,
he's a fun character.
That's where I come from.
He's a dick and an asshole until the very end, but he's a good character.
Yeah, I don't.
You shouldn't want to like Scott Pilgrim, is what I'm saying.
But yeah,
or Ramona, for that matter,
or anytime. Like I'm willing to suspend a lot of my disbelief, Michael. But there's a point where characters are doing a thing that makes so little sense to me that I cannot relate to them whatsoever. This is an example that I feel like gets a lot of people, right, is Prometheus.
Yeah.
I could not connect to that movie because I was just like, why are you all acting like... Don't take off your helmet.
Yeah.
What are you doing, dude? Like, and I know that, a lot of times the answer is like, well, if they didn't act like that, then there wouldn't be a story. And I'm like, well, you could have written the story so that they acted semi-competent and then they still got jumped by the fucking aliens and the big dude and shit, right?
So that's the thing about Alien is everybody's acting like a normal person,
right?
And they just get outsmarted by the thing,
right?
Whereas Prometheus is everyone is just dumb as hell, and they're not so much outsmarted as the thing is just going about its day.
Yeah. So whenever I'm trying to think of other examples where that happens, where there's a protagonist that's doing stuff. I'm trying to think of, like, I know there's been some animes that I've started watching and I've just stopped because the main characters are not very interesting. You know what? I watched Promare, which I was talking with you about. The strange thing about Promare and Fire Force are kind of the same story, except that Fire Force is like 24 episodes and Promare is like a 2-hour movie. And the main character of Promare is that very like Studio Trigger, just like, yeah, I know what it's all about. We're going to fucking turn into the biggest robot in the world and destroy everything. It's kind of like if Gurren Lagann was just about Kamiya, was that his name? Kamina, and didn't have Simone in it. Like, because Simone needed to be there as the character that we're rooting for to grow.
Yeah.
And Kamina didn't really grow. He was just kind of like the catalyst to get Simone to grow. And then, there's...
Well, he's the cocky older brother. Right. Almost literally.
But it's like in promo, even in like, I rewatched Kill la Kill before we played the game. What was that, earlier this year, last year, whatever it was. And like the main character in Kill la Kill, she gets set back a bunch and doesn't know what's going on and loses a few times. Like, it's not just her kicking ass like from the beginning to the end. In fact, in some ways, I feel like that. I only watched a very small amount of Dragon Ball, but I felt like a lot of the anime that I like has characters that kind of get knocked down a little bit more and then have to rise above that. Like
original Dragon Ball.
Well, see, I don't know. I never watched original Dragon Ball.
That's how original Dragon Ball is. It's very much like
that. Like it was much Dragon Ball Z.
Like he loses a lot.
and Goku gets killed and everybody's just like, yeah, no big deal. We'll just wish him back to life. He's going to go train in the afterlife for a while. And I'm like, guys, you're fucking up your stakes here. Like,
that's the thing about Dragon Ball. The stakes are the Dragon Balls still here, and then we're fine.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I watched 3 seasons of My Hero Academia where the main character literally couldn't use his superpowers without breaking his body into billions of pieces, and it was just like, fuck's sake. I mean, even now in that show, he's like, has to work around the fact that his superpower could literally cripple him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the kind of character that I root for. Somebody who has like a thing, or what's her name in Kill la Kill, where she's trying to avenge her father's death, and she gets embroiled in this whole thing and doesn't really know what the fuck is going on. She just knows she's gonna get that bitch, that fucking fucking sword bitch that stands on top of the high school and tells everybody what to do. I'm coming for you, bitch. And it's like, you don't know what's going on. They're trying to make a jacket that goes over the entire world and enslaves everybody with threads. And like, oh right, I'm watching an anime. Okay,
shit's weird in that thing.
But that's the kind of thing that I like, is when a protagonist. I don't like protagonists that are too. Well, but see, I was gonna say I don't like protagonists that are too overpowered, but that's not even true, because Kiryu Kazama is a fucking immortal demon. Like, he beats up everybody. He literally gets like shot and then beats up the people that shoot him. He's like, any normal man would be dead, and yet I'm still just like, oh no, Kiryu, what's gonna happen now?
Well, that's the thing that you touched on that I didn't think about, or that I didn't mention, which is that I do like overpowered characters, but the overpowered character has to have a personality that I like.
Yes,
because I love one of the reasons I love Goku is that Goku is kind of an idiot. Goku is he doesn't know what to do with his life, kind of thing.
Right.
He just sort of has moved on. He's just moved with his life. He's learned how to be good at what he's good at, and then things just sort of happen, kind of thing. And I like that. I like his character because he's constantly overcoming his own limits.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is he'll meet a guy who's stronger than him. He'll overcome his limit, feel that he wants to keep going from them because he doesn't want to deal with that issue again, even though he does it again anyways. But that's who he is. He's a guy who continues to you think he's overpowered, but honestly, he's one of the weaker characters of that show, because that dude loses all the time. Like in Super, I think he only wins like one fight that entire show, kind of thing. I think he technically only wins like one fight in the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, or 2 of them actually.
I also just, I mean, I have an idea, because you've talked to me about what happens after the point that I stopped watching Dragon Ball Z, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch a show where like the stakes were this high in like the garbage opening, and then they just keep getting like it's like when you do that thing where you're like just double a number, and then when you've done it like 12 times, it's more grain than the entire world could ever produce, and it's like,
it's very much that.
Oh good lord. Like
Dragon Ball Dragon Ball starts with well, the Earth is in trouble because of Raditz, and then ends with, well, the entire universe is in trouble because Kid Buu is fucking crazy.
Yeah. And I guess I guess I'll be really honest here. I mean, like, Gurren Lagann kind of ends with the avatar of the spirals and this like universe-sized robot throwing universes at each other.
That's kind of amazing.
Which, like, great, but that is like the very last episode, and it really does work from these 2 guys living in this underground cave all the way up there through over the course of a million episodes. And
I just like that's the thing, is OP characters are great when they're inspiring kind of OP characters. Yeah. Although some of them are great because they're funny, like Saitama. Yeah. Saitama is a great example of a character that is super OP, and I love him. I love him. He's great. And it's because he has a great personality.
I was actually thinking about how somebody posted a video about Wisecrack did about why season 2 of One Punch Man didn't work, and a lot of it was because we keep focusing on not Saitama's story and all these other things that are happening. So anyway, thanks for the question, GT. Let's see, how much time do we have left here? We'll do one more email question and then flip over and do some Discord questions.
Hey.
Birdie writes in and says, hey, Jeff and Mike, I hate my job. I like the career path I'm on, but I hate the specific current job I'm doing on it. I'm looking for other work, but I only have 6 weeks to legally release myself from my work contract, or I will have to work there for another year. What?
That must be something very specific about what he does.
I do not understand. Okay. I'm obviously hoping to find another better job, but I'm afraid that I may not find it in 6 weeks. Should I bite the bullet and put in my resignation in 6 weeks' time, even if I don't have another job lined up? Or should I tough it out and keep working at my job that hurts my mental and physical health longer The longer I do it,
I think you've just answered your question.
if it means I'm secure in having a paycheck. Less heavy question. Do you think Birds of Prey should have been a movie just about Harley Quinn and the birds only exist as overqualified backup dancers for Harley? Does that seem fair to people who wanted a Birds of Prey movie, not a Harley Quinn movie? Also, why is Wonder Woman evil in Injustice? The whole story is about why Superman turns evil, but Wonder Woman appears to be more evil with less motivation. Why is that? Sincerely, Birdie. Wow, I got 3 whole questions.
I can technically answer the last one, actually.
Well, let's start with the first one. I think it's worthwhile. Actually, I hope this was sent in. Okay, so it was sent in as of recording this 10 days ago.
He's got time. That's not 6 weeks.
Yeah, a little time.
He's got time.
6 weeks, yeah. So, let's see. I'm still trying to understand what this is saying. I'm looking for work, but I only have 6 weeks to legally
He's wondering
myself.
if it's fine for him to quit his job.
Or we'll have to work for another year.
Get stuck in his job.
Oh, it's like you started working at a job and you have some kind of like pull the ripcord.
Yeah, he's got a time limit when he's like locked into a contract or
and
something.
then you'd be locked into an employment contract. Okay, that's very different. Texas is a work at will state. I've never run into that before.
We could literally just leave whenever we want most of the time.
Yeah. Why do you think everybody just quits Rage Select whenever they feel like it? Okay, so
because of all the benefits we get.
I would say that. I mean, the best time to look for a job is when you have a job, but looking for a job is a job. I feel like every time that I've had a job and wanted to find another job, it was really easy to not do that because when you finish your current job, the last thing you want to do is go work this other job, and then it's like you're trying to go on an interview in the middle of the day. You got to lie to your boss about this. Is like, I got a doctor's appointment. I got to go.
I got diarrhea poisoned. I got to go real quick.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I think that it's worth looking. I mean, I would say that I don't know, man. Like, if a job makes you that uncomfortable, I don't know if you could find something else. I don't know what field you're talking about, so I can't really speak to it. But it sounds like I don't know. I know a bunch of people who really, really, really hate their jobs, and I would not want to get locked into a thing where I had to work a job that I really, really, really hated. I would say use as much of your 6 weeks as you can to look for another job, and then I guess it's kind of it depends on your personal situation. I mean, there's just so many variables that I feel like we don't have.
That's the issue with this question. It's not that I don't want. This is the thing. I feel like you've answered your own question because you said that it's physically and mentally tasking.
Yeah.
Honestly, you should quit if it's that bad.
Yeah.
Like because it's one thing to be like dealing with it mentally. It's another thing to feel like you're literally dying in this place. I would say quit, but that's because I did that. I did something kind of rash like that very early on when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I was working for a place that did inventory auditing for stores.
Okay.
There's those guys that you see that are just like boop scanning a thing for like everything that's in a store.
Yeah.
And I hated it with a passion. And I went to watch the Wolverine because I had time before I had to go do one of those. And the trailer for The Secret Life of Walter Mitty came on. And it was one of those trailers that's like way better than the movie was.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it was about him being in this stuck in this kind of shit, not shit job, but this like place he didn't really feel like he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
He's just daydreaming about what he wanted to do, and it inspired me enough to get walk into the theater and call where I was working and just be like, I'm just not gonna do this. I'm done, kind of thing. And the guy was like, well, more trainings. Like, no, I don't like this, and I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
And that's honestly that's how I feel about jobs that you hate, is that sometimes you just, if it's really that bad, you really shouldn't have to deal with it anymore.
It may just be because one, I started working in the 90s during the tech boom, and two, I'm a white man, so I'm kind of fail upwards, right? But I have had a really hard time staying with a job that you fucking hate. Like, there's boring jobs, right? There's jobs that pay the bills that you're just like, time to make the donuts, right? But like a job that you hate, I feel like will just wear you down, and it'll happen really fast too.
Yeah,
where you'll be like working at a job you hate for 4 weeks, and you're just like, fuck, God, I gotta quit this. I gotta kill somebody. I'm gonna go work at fucking Wendy's curing influenza, right? Like, I gotta get the hell out of here. Like, that a job that you hate, I don't know, maybe other people have better mental fortitude than I do, but like whenever it was I've worked at a few jobs where I worked at a job for like 3 weeks. Like I worked at Fry's here in Austin. It's like a Best Buy thing.
No.
I worked there for about a month. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to need time off for Christmas because I've never not seen my parents at Christmas. And my boss laughed in my face and got one of my coworkers to join in with her, laughing right in my face about, like, you think you could leave the retail sector during the holidays? I was doing like repair. Yeah. I wasn't doing stocking or anything. Yeah. So then I just no showed them like the second week of Christmas. Like I worked there right up to the point where I was going to go to my family's vacation, and then I just got on a plane and left and like turned my phone off. And like when I landed, I had like all these messages from my manager about like, where the fuck are you? We need you to get, we're like understaffed and there's like a million people here. There's like 2 people here. I need you in here. I'm not going to be able to see my kids. And I was like, oh, your life sounds really terrible. Sorry, I'm in another state. Do what you got to do. Bye.
My cousin did that with Toys R Us.
Yeah,
is he wanted? I don't actually. Honestly, he just didn't want to be there, and he came to visit for the holidays. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's like, "I work for Toys R Us." Like, why don't they need you right now? Yeah, I don't work for Toys R Us anymore. That's basically what he said.
All I'm gonna say is, don't laugh in somebody's face if they ask you for something like a completely legitimate request. You may like take them aside, and be like, "Look, it's really busy. We can't give you a week off around Christmas."
Like, honestly, the easiest thing to be is like, look, it's this is retail's really bad about that.
Yep.
If you need that time off, like, see if maybe somebody will help you, kind of thing.
Yep.
Like give a map minimum, like of something that you might be able to do. Don't laugh in somebody's face. That's super unprofessional. But the actual answer that I'm gonna say still is that I think you should quit your job, but I'm also with Jeff that you should use the 6 weeks that you have, to the most extent you have, save everything you make within that 6 week period.
Yep.
Especially if you don't have safety net. And if you really want to get out of there, I really suggest getting out of there.
It's also, I really have no idea where you're emailing from or like what country you're in or what sector you're in, because the other thing that you may take into consideration, this is a bad thing, I don't know how long your contract is, but like, I don't know how easy it's going to be to find a job over the next 2 or 3 months.
That's the thing. I don't know what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, but like as people have to stay in their house all day, and like I don't know what sector you're in, and I don't know like what that means. So there's a lot to take into consideration that I feel like we don't have information for. But I will say that I don't feel like you can tough out a really shitty job for that long.
Yeah, shitty jobs are like the job I had before the one I have now. I barely made it 6 months, and I if I wasn't going to get the job I had now, I would have just quit anyways because I was just hated it so much.
Yeah.
Also, the second question.
Okay, so do you think the Birds of Prey movie should have just been a movie about Harley Quinn and that the birds were only in there a little bit? Blah blah blah. I think that I actually finally watched that movie, and I was kind of bored when Harley Quinn wasn't on the screen. Like, whether you like Harley Quinn or whether you don't like Harley Quinn, I think that Margot Robbie dressed up as Harley Quinn doing stuff. She's so bright, she's so colorful, she's got so much personality that I was really into her performance and her story. And then you drag in like 4 other people. Huntress, Renee Montoya.
Yeah, it's like 4 because it's Cassandra Cain,
and Cassandra
Huntress, Renee Montoya, and the Black Canary.
I keep forgetting about Black Canary. And it was just like all of them felt like they got like a tiny sliver of a character arc. Where I'm like, I don't know. Did you see it?
I never got to see it, but here's the thing: that Harley Quinn show is so fucking good.
Yeah,
that the movie really should have just been about Harley Quinn. The Birds of Prey should have honestly had their own separate thing.
This is in the trailers, so if you care about it, maybe skip forward 2 minutes. But like, one of the whole plot lines in that movie is that Harley Quinn has just been like fucking with everybody in Gotham, because they all know that she's the Joker's girlfriend. And like nobody wants to fuck with the Joker, and that like they've broken up, but she hasn't said that they've broken up, so that everybody like Black Mask and all the gangsters and all the people that she's wronged and fucked with in Gotham, they still are not fucking with her. And then there's kind of a point like towards the end of the first act where she kind of makes a public statement telling everybody that she's broken up with the Joker, and then it's just kind of like it's like episode 2 of John Wick when all the assassins are coming after him, except it's Harley Quinn. She's got like this bodega like a breakfast sandwich that she's trying to keep safe because it's like her favorite breakfast sandwich. She's like running away from all these people that are trying to murder her. And I'm like, this is delightful. And then it's like,
that could be a lot of fun.
Renee Montoya is a cop. And I'm like, oh, right. Renee Montoya is in this movie.
Yeah.
And like none of the people, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress was good. I like there was kind of a running gag where everybody calls her the crossbow killer. Even though she keeps saying, like, I'm Huntress, and they're like, the crossbow killer's after you. She's like, I'm the goddamn Huntress, all right? But, they also just dressed her, like, head to toe in black, and she rides a motorcycle and shoots people with crossbows, and, Renee Montoya is just kind of a cop. They gave her a funny T-shirt, and Black Canary kind of wears a lot of black. And she's got, I don't know. Like, Harley Quinn is a good character, and I like the way that Margot Robbie portrays her, so I would have rather seen more of that.
Yeah, which is fair.
That's me. And then do you want to talk about why Wonder Woman is it the D? Is it the super D?
It might be, but the thing is that she's just kind of a crazy person. But I was reading some of the Injustice comics, and they give a backstory as to why she's crazy. Part of it is because Steve Trevor was a Nazi in her timeline.
Oh.
So one of the first people she trusted turned out to be a crazy person.
Okay.
And so she was very distrustful of people from then on. And also, part of it's the super D. And she really wants the hell out of it. And when she sees her an opening, she kind of just goes, yes, give in to the hate kind of thing.
What was that? I was just trying to think of, we were talking about Super D. There was something that came up recently. Oh, it's about how thirsty Jesse was for Cloud in Final Fantasy VII demo.
Very, very thirsty, that woman.
All right, let's take a few Discord questions.
Barrett might be too. You don't know.
I was yelling at him all the time.
Maybe he's a what is it, Sundra or however you say it?
What's that?
Sundara.
Oh yeah.
He's really in the Cloud, but he just doesn't want to tell him.
Yeah,
that's why you can go on a date with him at the Golden Saucer.
Yeah,
exactly.
Persian King says, greetings from planet California, fellow worshippers of Doncles. I have just gotten out of seeing The Lodge, a horror film that was released in late February of this year. While I wouldn't say it was a truly great horror film, I did end up liking it quite a bit and would still call it a pretty decent horror film despite its flaws. Some because it's creepy atmosphere and great use of sound, but it wasn't until I was driving home that I started to ask myself why I liked it, and it arrived at a question that I thought I would ask you guys. What is the most important aspect or aspects of a horror film that you guys that can make it good or even great? Long answer short for me, it's a mix of having creepy atmosphere, having the characters actually make reasonably intelligent and or logical decisions, and given the situation they're in, and having the monster as some sort of legitimately unstoppable force that can, at best, be mildly inconvenienced and or possibly be purely in the character's head. Thanks, and that's from Persian King. So, what makes a good horror movie? Do you do a lot of horror?
I don't do a lot, but I like horror.
Okay.
So I do have answers for this kind of thing. The main thing is that the creepy atmosphere goes a long way. Mm-hmm. What he said with some of the characters making rational decisions does help. When they don't make rational decisions, I'm okay with it, depending on the situation, like the situation and maybe even the age of the people.
Yeah.
The other thing is that jump scares, the least amount of them, the better. Kind of thing, because if a movie can scare me without the use of jump scares, they've done an amazing job, and that's a lot rarer than it sounds nowadays. Because even when they don't make like rational decisions, at least make it where it's rational why they made that decision,
right?
Kind of thing.
It may not be a logical decision, but at least if it made sense to the character at the time.
Yeah, if a guy's like, literally being chased, he's not going to think logically. His animal brain is going run,
right? And
so he's not thinking, and so that makes sense. But if it's just like we said, Prometheus, I'm a scientist, and you know what? I'm going to stick my face right in front of this thing with my helmet off. It's like, no, don't do that, kind of thing. It has to make sense. The creepy atmosphere helps a lot. An unstoppable force is pretty great sometimes, but sometimes I also like the fact when they're not completely unstoppable, that the heroes have some kind of chance, and that they just are overcome by this, how much more smarter the thing is sometimes.
Yeah.
I really like too.
I have a hard time with like fully unstoppable stuff because in a lot of ways it takes away the stakes, right? Because it's just like, okay, well, everybody's dead. Like,
I don't know. Like, everything died, the end, I guess.
But see, I mean, like, I've had this continuing issue with It Follows over the years, which is that I feel like It Follows is invincible, but it has rules, and I feel like those rules are very easily exploitable. But nobody does it. They're like, let's put it in a swimming pool and then throw a bunch of toasters in there, and I'm like, why? Why would this like amorphous murder spirit die because you pushed it in a pool and threw it in a fucking hairdryer? Like, what the fuck does that? What are you talking about?
I think Elliot had one of my favorite plans ever heard. He's like, "What's what I'm do? I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna get in a plane, stay over there for a year. Get in a plane again. When I see it again, it's gonna take it a long time for it to cross again."
No, I said that before. I'm saying, the only thing it takes to contain It Follows are like two people, one that lives in L.A. and one that lives in New York, or maybe different. Maybe like one that lives in like the rural what's the state below Washington where Portland is? Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Rural, like Oregon, where there aren't a lot of people, and then one person that lives like on the East Coast somewhere like near a farm, right?
Yeah.
And then like it's just every year, like the timing, and you just see the creepy thing coming, and you just call the person on the other coast, just like, Margaret, it's here. I got to come out next week. We're gonna have loveless sex for 20 minutes. And then you just fly out and just do that. And then, once they get older or whatever, somebody else picks it up. The federal government could pay somebody $60K a year to just do nothing but be like the surrogate fuck person who the thing is following.
Yeah.
And then it just has to walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, what happens in It Follows if somebody goes to Europe and it goes to Amsterdam and has sex with a prostitute in Amsterdam? Does it walk over the ocean? Does it have to go to the bottom of the ocean and then come back?
And that lady's going to have a lot of sex with a lot of other people is the thing.
Yeah. It's going to be all over.
Just don't tell them and you're fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mean way, right? That's why the guy in the movie does it, right? But
no, he doesn't. He tells them after. He still tells them afterwards.
Yeah.
Is the thing. He could have just left and that would have been the end of it.
Yeah.
Instead, he's like, I'm going to tell you the rules of this before I leave.
It goes back to one of the protagonist things. One of the reasons I don't like It Follows, right, is because I'm like, you know what? I feel like It Follows only works if the movie is about teenagers, because teenagers are fucking stupid. Like, if It Follows was about a 30-year-old person who like got infected with It Follows, it's just like, well, I have a bank account. I can go to the airport. Like, I'm just going to
go somewhere. Yeah.
I'm going to rent a car and drive for a while. Like,
I'm going to go on that vacation I was talking about.
Yeah.
See how long it takes to get to me.
I'm going to drive for 12 hours and start a stopwatch and be like, and you know what? I'm going to have my best friend go with me and, make sure that, like, because I don't remember how it works. Like, if there's a door and the other person can't see it, it still has to like physically bust down a door, right? Like,
I can't remember it, but the rules were still very much like, I know it's coming kind of
What
thing.
happens if you spray paint It Follows? What happens if you just spray paint It Follows with a bunch of Krylon, and then like you've just got this yellow spray painted, and they could be like, police, there's a yellow spray painted man trying to kill me, and then they're gonna like shoot at it, and it
wasn't that
stop.
Like other people can't see it or something like that?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but what if you spray painted it?
What if you spray painted it?
What if you spray painted it?
Okay.
What happens then? Like,
okay, I got you. Invisible Man rules. I guess.
What if you put down a bunch of smoke? Like, do you see it displace the smoke? Because it has like a physical presence. Like, it's gotta walk up to you. It doesn't just appear in your room. There's so many ways to fuck with It Follows that I'm just like,
there's a lot of ways to fuck with it. But
in any case,
but that's why I think that's why Predator works so well, is because in Predator it seems unstoppable because it's really good at killing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I like about it is that by the time it's done, Arnold Schwarzenegger does outsmart it, kind of thing, and it almost outsmarts him by blowing itself up, kind of thing. And that's what I liked about it. Like those make for good horror things. It's one of the reasons The Evil Dead I think works really well as well, because it's unstoppable but not too unstoppable, kind of thing. Like there's a chance, and usually they only win because Bruce Campbell's chin is just so good at surviving.
What if his chin got infected with the deadite?
Oh, God.
And it was like one of those things
then at that point
where you turn your head upside down and little eyeballs are there, and then you're doing your mouth upside down and it looks all weird and shit. For me, what I like out of a horror movie is something I've never... Actually, I was going to say something I've never seen before. The problem is there is no one answer to these things, right?
That's very difficult to answer.
There's like
everyone has different ideas.
There's like 8 different things. Like, I really like a movie that does something that I've never seen before. I mean, like, I don't normally like the and I know a lot of people really don't like it, but like I loved the Babadook just because.
Oh, the Babadook's great.
Babadook was about just like this middle-aged woman having a fucking mental breakdown. Like the Babadook was barely in that movie. Like it was
honestly, the kid is the most horrifying part of the Babadook.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite memes. It doesn't get used as much anymore with the. Why can't you be normal?
Oh, yeah.
And just like just intelligible screaming.
I think is what I've seen say.
But like I liked that one because that one had a lot of different layers. But even when I first watched it, and it was just like, oh, it's a monster movie. It was like it's a real weird, different. It had a different tone, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just so much different. Like I watched Zombieland Double Tap recently.
How was that?
I didn't like it. I mean, it was like, well, the first half of it was kind of like Zombieland. There's one really good part in the middle where, what's his name? Luke Wilson and then this other guy show up, and they're like the parallels for
I've seen that with Clip.
Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg. That was okay. But then, like, at the end, they build up these, like, super zombies the entire time, and then at the end, they just... Oh, it kind of ends with a whimper.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like,
the post-credit scene's kind of fun though.
Yeah, I don't know. I want something new. Do like something where people act like good, like they act in a reasonable fashion. Like there was a point. Did you ever watch Ready or Not?
I did.
There's a point in Ready or Not where like the main character gets a gun, and then somebody else is like, "I'm not gonna let you out of here," and then she just fucking pulls the trigger. It doesn't really work, but like I was like,
yeah,
bro, good for you. Like this wasn't one of those like I can't do it, you know.
Yeah,
it's just like fuck you.
I'm gonna get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. But see, Ready or Not is a good example of like Ready or Not had a pretty decent premise, but for the most part, it was kind of just like I don't know, like this weird murder game thing. It wasn't like super. It wasn't super original, but I really enjoyed it because it was fun.
What's fun about it is the fact that she's acting like a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's acting like you were told the premise of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, and you had to do it today. That's what she's doing, and I love that about it.
Yeah. Also, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Like, maybe like briefly tries to get the fiance to be somewhat likable, and I'm just like, dude, no.
But that's what makes that movie work as well, is the fact that it doesn't work out the way that guy wants it to.
Yeah. By the way, ladies, I am not involved in any weird plot about like there's no puzzle boxes or weird.
The weird
family.
plot is that every now and then he'll start talking about the lore of Dark Souls and Metal Gear. That's the trick.
Is that a twist at this point?
I said it's the trick. I didn't say twist.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got to zone out when he starts talking about Solid Snake, and you go from there.
I'm trying to think of what the last. I do kind of want to watch that. Heard a lot about that movie. Was it like Terrifier or with the weird clown that came out last year?
Oh,
like the real weird looking clown.
I don't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
It was like Terrifier or something like that. It was on Netflix, I think.
I think it was on Shudder.
I don't know. It was on something.
Yeah, I don't know. I like horror movies. I generally just want them to be something kind of original and different, and I like them to keep moving.
Yeah, because I watched this South American horror film called Terrified that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of creepy atmosphere and a lot of just weird shit in it. And there's some stuff that's kind of jump scare like, but you see it still coming enough that it's not full on jump scare and it's still creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I can
some
definitely
great
say
too.
I didn't care for like The Conjuring. Just didn't do enough.
Is that the one with the Darth Maul ghosts? Which one am I thinking of?
No, that's Insidious.
Okay.
Insidious was good. I kind of liked Insidious. Had a different kind of that Twilight Zone episode where they go to the weird dimension or whatever.
Okay.
I kind of liked that part. But no, Conjuring was just like, this house is haunted, and we're spirit detectives. We've come to it.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Kind of like Drag Me to Hell, where I was like, I got to the end of Drag Me to Hell, and I was like, what the fuck was the point of that? Like, don't be mean to old gypsy ladies at the bank. Like
Sam Raimi is a strange guy.
Yeah. And then there's all those spinoffs with Annabelle and
oh yeah, there's a lot of those.
All this stuff, and I'm just like,
Apparently the Nun one was pretty good though.
I didn't watch that one either.
Yeah, everyone I talked to who saw that one actually said it was pretty nice.
Okay. Is that The Nun, or there was like another one called like La Llorona or
no, it was The Nun.
Okay.
La Llorona is a completely different thing. I don't even know if that's a spinoff of that.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least we're not making just Paranormal Activity movies anymore. Because
thank God. Fuck those movies.
Fuck those movies.
I fell asleep even in the first one.
I know the first one was okay.
It's okay, but I still fell asleep in it. But that's the thing. Even the okay one made me fall asleep at some point.
Yeah. Or Saw. I'm really glad that we're kind of done with Saw a little bit.
Glad we're past the murder porn. The torture porn, actually.
Candyman
new
trailer, which looked interesting. It was kind of interesting.
I'll have to see more about it.
Professor Thorgy says, hello, citizens of Rageopolis. With the success of the Wonderful 101 Kickstarter, do you believe that older franchises with more niche audiences should go this route? At PAX East this year, Hideaki Kamiya said that he had several sequels and prequels to games he wanted to make, such as Beautiful Joe and Okami, but Capcom wouldn't let him make them. Do you believe that companies like this with beloved franchises with smaller audiences should just turn to Kickstarter to see if the game has the support it needs to be made? Thanks. And this is from your little patron, Professor Thorgy. So,
that's a dangerous slope. Was my answer, because it's one of those things where Shenmue 3 did that, where it was like, hey, kickstart Shenmue 3. And the budget wasn't as high as people thought it would be, and that's because it turns out, they had some funding, and it was to mostly gauge interest, as well as maybe put some additional stuff in there. But yeah, that's what makes it a slippery slope, because at that point, how much are you willing to spend on something like that kind of thing? Because there's a lot of those Kickstarter rewards, even in the Wonderful 101, that were like $1,000 and more.
Yeah.
And some of them were like, you get a jacket, and you get this pendant, that kind of thing. And at that point, you're just spending a lot of money for almost no reason, is what it feels like.
I never like it when companies run a crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
Because it's like, fuck you. You make your whole job is to make money. Like, I shouldn't have to financially invest in a thing before it's even made in order for you to make the money that you're going to make when this comes out. Like, it's like, well, we just don't know if there's enough interest in Resident Evil franchise. And it's like, well, then don't make it. Like, but don't make me pay for your experiment, because when it's not like Fig, I'm not an investor.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you the money. I'm buying a game way ahead of time at the minimum, right? At the minimum, I'm putting in enough money to get a copy of this game when it comes out, maybe more. And for big companies, I'm like, that's your job, man. Like, you have money. Like,
when the Shenmue 3 thing happened, it was like, fuck you. What the hell?
Like, I would never. I was like, if Konami was like, well, we'd like to make a new Silent Hill, but we want you to put in $750,000 in order for
you to decide.
It's like, fuck you. I didn't make this situation. You made this situation. If you put out a good Silent Hill game, I will buy it for $60. Well, hell, I run Rage Select. I'll buy it even if it's bad. But like, as a consumer, like, I'll buy it if it's good and it gets good reviews. If you put out that's the thing that's so irritating about the video game industry, Michael, is it's like, if you put out a quality video game, I will purchase it for cash money.
Yeah.
If you don't, and you try to trick me, then I will not purchase your video game, because you can't. There's enough places for us to find out that we got tricked nowadays.
Yeah.
There's enough places to be like, oh, wait, this feels like a trick. Is it a trick? And YouTube is like, yes. Check out all these videos about how much of a trick it is. Like, and I hate it when companies have gotten into this weird fucking thing about just like, development takes a lot of money. It's like, it doesn't. You made it take a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't know if there's any interest in a new Tony Hawk game. And it's like, well, then spend money and do focus testing. Like, it is not my job to tell you whether your Tony Hawk game how well it will sell. It is your job to figure that out, because you're the fucking company. I'm the consumer. Like, it's not my job to do all your work for you. It's like when I used to get really mad when GameStop would do that thing where they were like, well, we only order enough copies of a game for the store to cover the pre-orders. And it's like, that's not my job.
That's not how this should work.
You don't get to just cut your inventory down to the razor's edge by only ordering 13 copies of the new My Hero Academia game because you got 13 pre-orders. Fuck you. I'll buy that shit digitally. And then you're going to go out of business and have to hire Reggie to try to make your store cool again. And spoiler alert, it's not going to happen, because it's not going to happen.
Well, like, half the time that we're doing that, it's like, well, there's a Walmart right next to you. I'm just going to see if they have it.
Right.
Because if you're not going to have it, then fuck you. I'm taking my money somewhere else. And now there's a bunch of stores that have it, like the Best Buys, the Walmarts, the Targets. And GameStop was still trying to pull that pre-order shit.
Or you can buy digitally.
Go there.
Or you can buy digitally.
Or now, like especially now, because back then when they first were doing that, digital was still kind of iffy. People weren't very trustful. And honestly, some people still aren't very trustful of it. Yeah. I'm still kind of iffy on it sometimes, even now. But that's the thing, is I can still be like, well, I'm just going to get it from somewhere else in general. Whether it's digitally a Target that's down the road, Walmart that's down the road, like, fuck you.
Best
kind
Buys.
Of thing. Yeah, the Best Buys. Like, these places are everywhere. Games are readily available everywhere now.
Oh, hell. Like 4 years ago, I used to get close to having to either pre-order or get up really early and like pay really quickly. I used to try to have to try to hunt down some of the like, your Danganronpas or Zenki Zero.
Yeah, anime games used to be really bad. Like when I bought Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton, the GameStop I bought it from literally had 2 of them.
Right. And nowadays it's like, well, you can stock it, and if you stock it, I'll come buy it, and if you don't, then I'll buy it on the digital store. And like, I don't really, I'm sorry for people that work there, like, but I'm not sorry for the management that can't make money anymore because they ran this company as this weird consignment store, and the thing that always makes me so mad about GameStop is that they spent years fucking their customers, and now it's like, oh no, they're gonna go away, and it's like, good. They were bad. They were a bad place. And like, it's good that they sold video games, and it was great that you could go there, but it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, Michael, I haven't paid for a CD in years, and I don't really feel all that bad about it.
Yeah.
Like, I used to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on CDs, and they get scratched, and then they don't work anymore, and then you go buy another CD because it was $15 a CD.
Yeah.
And that was like 10 years ago. It was probably $25 for a CD or something now.
Oh, they're still pretty cheap, to be honest. Because no one's buying them.
Because no one's buying
Exactly.
them. But like the minute that I got a chance to get out of that system, or like renting VHS tapes, like the minute I got a chance to get out of that system, I wanted out of it. It's why I don't have very much nostalgia for the past, because I'm like, you remember when music used to cost a lot of money, and sometimes Guns N' Roses' new album was shitty? You remember,
except for like the one song.
Yeah. You remember when, like, you racked up $50 in late fees from Blockbuster Video because you didn't have time to take your fucking tape back, or when you took your tape back but you forgot to rewind it and they charged you $3 because you forgot to rewind your fucking tape. Remember how those great days? And I'm like, yes, I hated them. They were shitty.
They were the shittiest. I remember going into a GameStop and being like, hey, do you have literally like the new anything? And they were like, did you pre-order? And then you said no, then they laughed in your face.
Hell, we've talked about it before. Fry's Electronics, right down the street from here, they just don't stock new games.
They don't.
They just straight up don't.
They might get some amiibos.
There's this huge store that sells consumer electronics and video games that's like super close to my house, and I can't shop there because they suck at it so hard.
Yeah.
And now they're going out of business. And you know what? I'm kind of glad. Because, one, they fucked me with the vacation thing in the story I told earlier, and 2, they won't put video game, like they won't get a video game in the Tuesday that it comes out. And I'm just like, well, what good are you? Like, I want God of War. I don't want to order it off your website and get it in 5 to 7 business days. I want it now. God damn it. Like,
they're the GameStop though that because I still shop at GameStop. I get some stuff from there all the time. That's where I got my Trevor Belmont figure.
I know. I went over there one day, and the poor guy was one guy working by himself. There were like 12 people in that store.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I always feel bad for those guys. I felt bad for the guy who was trying to sell me their rewards program.
Oh God,
because their rewards program has gotten 100 times worse. Yeah, because before it was like, well, you get 10% off of any used things if you get enough
subscription to Game Informer.
Yeah, and if you get enough stuff, the 10% off added up to quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now they're like, you get a $5 off coupon every month. I'm like, I get a what now? You want me to spend $15 for $5 off coupons every month? It's like, you can use it on anything. And I'm like, no.
Can I bring in like 12 of them and just get a free game?
and that's the thing. They're like, well, they expire every month. I'm like, well, what the fuck is the point of it? Kind of thing.
It's to get you to spend money every month,
but
right?
That's the thing is like the 10% off got me to spend more money because it was 10% off of everything.
Right.
Like of all the games, which is what I come to here to get. If you're telling me it's $5 off of that random pair of socks in the background, and I'm like, fuck you.
The Walking Dead Funko Pops.
Exactly. It's like, fuck you. It's just $5 off. That's nothing.
Yep.
It's nothing.
Yep.
But to answer your original question, because I know we went on a tangent.
Yeah.
The only reason I was fine with Platinum doing it was because Platinum was very nervous about self-publishing in general. They outright said, "Look, we're never going to do this again. We want to self-publish, but we don't know if this is going to work. We're still technically a small company, and if this fucking fails, then we're fucked."
Yeah, I don't begrudge it to Platinum at all because they are a smaller company.
Yeah,
and over the years, Platinum has gotten super boned by companies publishing their games and then keeping the rights to the IPs. Where all these great games that just Platinum can't do anything with because, like you said, Capcom doesn't want a new Beautiful Joe game.
Which is ridiculous.
And it doesn't matter whether, Platinum could raise the money to make it themselves. It wouldn't even matter because they don't have the rights to it.
And thank God Nintendo just was like, we're just going to give you our blessing. Like, you can do what you want with it. We're not going to hang on to your IP. Go ahead, and that's why there's getting a PS4 release because the Kickstarter made more than enough that they can use those costs to remaster it for even other consoles.
Yeah.
So I think it turned out great for that, but that doesn't mean it's going to turn out great for anything else.
Yeah. All my ire before is for like big ass companies.
Yeah, like the Shenmue thing, like I mentioned
Shenmue
earlier.
Sony.
Sony was like, "Hey, spend money to make more Shenmue." It was like, "No, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're fucking PlayStation. You were the actual physical fucking console."
But before we move on and finish up here, though, I do want to, though, briefly just say that I also realize, though, that I am very anti-nostalgia.
Okay.
Everybody knows this. I don't like, it's like, do you want another... Like, you can even ask me games that I like. Do you want another Dark Souls? Nope. Do you want Bloodborne 2? Don't want it. About a new Metal Gear? Not even if Hideo
You're totally
Kojima
lying about the Bloodborne thing.
made
You
him
talk
himself.
about it all the time.
Nope. Nope. I mean, like, we talked earlier about making a new Silent Hill, and I'm like, that's cool and everything. But I'm not like, if they canceled that new Silent Hill, like when they canceled when they canceled Silent Hills, I was like, oh, that's a real shame. I kind of wanted to play that game.
That was how I felt about it.
But like, I got over it. So the thing is that I realized that there are a lot of people, like the people who were fans of Shenmue, who wanted to see the third Shenmue game get made, and they were literally willing to do whatever it took. Yeah. I have no problem letting, at this point, Michael, anything go. Like, if they said we're never making another Star Wars ever again, I'd be like, it's cool with me, man. Make some new shit. Yeah. Like, if they're like, Star Trek is done, I'm like, great, that's fine. Makes like, like, I loved The Good Place, right?
Yeah.
But like, when it was over, it was over. And if they're like, well, that's it, we're done. Like, I don't care. Like, my favorite TV show, if My Hero Academia ended at the end of season 4 on a cliffhanger, which is my current favorite anime, and they were like, well, we just don't have the money and we'll never make it again. And I'm like, that's great. You know what? There are 100 shows, movies, music, books, video games, and a million things in this world that I don't have to stick. I'm tired of having a favorite. And the reason for that is because, quite frankly, over the years, all my favorite things have been destroyed or let me down. And one by one, they've all gone away until the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't want a no Transformers movie. I like Transformers when I was young. And even if they did it right, I still don't really want one. Like, I want new shit.
Yeah.
I want to watch new shit. I want to play new shit. That's what I'm into. So I realized that there are a lot of people who were just like, my God, I've been waiting for 20 years to finish Shenmue, and now I can, and I'm super excited. And I'm like, you know what? That's great for you. And I wish you well. But for me, I want the new stuff, and I don't care about the old stuff. One of the most frustrating things about this generation was it the 10th generation or whatever? Or 7th generation? Something like that?
I don't remember, actually, 7th, 8th.
The current gen of games, one of the most frustrating things is the fact that it felt like for a while there, it was just sequels to everything.
Yeah.
It was just everything got a sequel, and it was like, come on. Don't make 5 Uncharted games, make 1 Uncharted game, and then move on and make something that's even better. That's not even a thing, so... And you know what? I was going to read one more question, but we're already way over time. So thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thanks, GameStop.
Yeah. MailRageSelect.com is the email address. If you go to Luby's, just tell us about it. Don't go to Luby's. On a more serious note,
yes, go to Luby's.
Everybody, be safe, but don't freak out too hard. And remember, there's just like so many video games, movies, and TV shows. And there's Netflix, and there's YouTube, and there's Hulu, and there's Disney Plus. You got all the games that you haven't finished, and all those books you haven't read, and all that stuff. And if you got to stay inside, I'm sure you'll find something to do. Also, you can listen to this podcast. You can watch the videos that come out every day. You go to patreon.com/RageSelect. You can go to oneofus.net where Michael does some movie reviews sometimes.
Yes, there's a review for Castlevania up, actually.
There you go. Go listen to that. There's so much to do. We're all going to make it through this. Just, be nice, careful. Don't buy all fucking toilet paper.